Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of It's Your Birthday, the only podcast that gets you a gift every single week, and this week is no different. And that gift, as always, is video games. I'm your host, Kelly Workman. I'm joined by Christian Langton. Christian, what's going on, my boy?
I'm good, man. I guess we're leaving that little thing in there for all you folks at home.
Yeah.
You know.
Look, we're no longer giving gifts as video games anymore. We're giving weeks as gifts. And that's what video games are. All gifts about video game weeks.
Well,
you know
time is like the best commodity, they say. It's more valuable than riches. It's more valuable than any video game out there. Time.
It's really the only gift you can't get more of. So, if someone can give you more of it, it's really amazing to be able to bestow that.
One, they're either lying to you, or two, you're listening to the show. So, I mean,
That's true. Or they're trying to get you into a
avenues.
timeshare or perhaps a pyramid scheme, which we're doing neither yet. But eventually, we might do both.
Do you want to buy more time in Aspen with our ski resort package?
So up here is time. And then if you go down sort of to the side, you have money and then you have an investment. And then it all sort of works together in a way to help you here in the center become the best person you can be.
Yeah.
And it sort of looks... Oh, shit. It sort of looks like Illuminati. Sort of looks like... Siri doesn't... I'm sorry. Siri got a little excited there when I said Illuminati and then told me she didn't have any answers for me. So... Is that a new conspiracy? It might be, actually. Who knows?
Might be. This is now InfoWars. We're going to talk about AI and Siri. We're going to talk about
I hope.
all the implications behind that. I mean, are you ready for a 3-hour broadcast where we do nothing but talk conspiracy theories?
Well,
that should be fun.
If we're really going on InfoWars route, wouldn't it be it's going to be a 3-hour podcast where we yell and then try and sell you weird pills, right? That's sort of the thing.
Yeah. And then like muscle building medicine for real man. Real.
And then figure out Frog's sexual orientation, I suppose, or at least yell what it is out loud.
Day in the life, honestly. Being in the same state as that man is alarming.
Well, I could get there pretty quick because GameStop recently has caused me some strife again with their policies and procedures. So if we want to yell about info, I could yell about it currently.
We're going on a war of information about GameStop and their constant disappointment.
It's really just another PSA about how shady of a business they run in the public. It's amazing. So I'll give some backstory. I went into GameStop, which I rarely ever do because I hate that place. If you've listened to the show, you're very aware I don't care for them. But they're the only place that takes trade-in on video games that you don't want anymore. So you sort of have no option. They've monopolized that market to some extent, or somehow give you a better value than like Entertain Mart or whatever, and you don't have to wait 45 minutes for them to tell you that you only get $1 for whatever you have. And some places don't have that. So anyway, but yeah, I had picked up like Crash Team Racing from like Target or something for like $20, and I was like not feeling it. Like the performance of that game is fine. The load times in that game are fucking extreme. It's like, I don't know, upwards of 2 minutes sometimes.
Oh, are you talking about
race
the
that lasts
Switch
like
version,
2 minutes?
or
yes, yeah.
That's the experience of the Switch version.
It sucks because it mars what otherwise would be a pretty good game, and I feel like they could have tuned down the graphical fidelity to make the loading better and performance overall better. Like it doesn't need to look as good as it's trying to look because it still doesn't look that good. I guess like it looks fine.
Yeah.
But it's definitely nowhere close to the console equivalents of that game. So I don't know why they're trying to match it or what their design was there. Anyway, it was for sale for like $20. I realized trade-in for it was like $15. So I was like, oh, okay, because it was on sale somewhere else and they're still selling it for $40 or whatever. So I went and did that. And then picked up Mario Tennis pre-owned because I was like, I guess I'll try that. It's only $30. I'll give it a shot. Which that game seems fine enough to play, but you have to play, from what I can tell, a substantial part of the campaign before you can unlock the multiplayer, which is what I originally got it for, so Jack and I could just play that. So I was like, I don't really want to, I'm not loving it enough to sit through that just for something that I'm probably not going to love when we get to that part either. So at any rate, I went today to So I picked that up and a PlayStation 5 controller because I was already there. I was like, I might as well just grab it. I'm here already. And they're like, yeah, you can return this game within 7 days, whatever, you don't like it. I was like, okay. So I went back today to do that. And when I go to return it, they're like, oh, so you have your $13 in cash we can give back to you, and then you have your 12 or 15 whatever in store credit. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, well, so you use store credit on your purchase, so we can give you back your store credit in store credit. And I was like, what about the other $80 I spent though? Like, why on earth did the trade-in credit not go for the $70 item that I purchased, but now only goes to the 31 I'm bringing back? How does that happen? And like, well, it's just the way the system works. And I'm like, what do you mean the system works? I'm like, what are you saying? This is how the system works. The system works to rip you off. Is that what you're saying? And I didn't want to get into it with this person because they're a nice person. I've been with them, I've met them a couple different times, but it was just that thing of like, God damn, guys. Does it have to be every single fucking facet of your store has to be a fuck you to being there? Well, like,
I was thinking that, and I was like, store credit is like the biggest scam. It's the biggest scam.
Here's the other thing. They used to sell open-ended Steam cards, right? So whatever value you had, you could just put it on a Steam card. Now they don't carry those anymore. They only carry the increments. So it's another thing of like, well, you have this $2. We'll just go ahead. They didn't even say anything. They just went ahead and put the $2 on a gift card, and I was like, oh, what's this? And like, well, you had $2 left over, and I was like, fuck. So I have to come in the stupid fucking store again for these $2, or I could just forget it and it just went into the ether, and you guys got more money for no reason. Yeah. And so that was already frustrating. And then the same thing today. It was like, because we're trading that in. And then trading in Hyrule Warriors, and I was just going to get like a Steam card or a eShop thing or whatever and just be done with the place. But yeah, so that was the thing, is they're just like, well, we can't give you your money back. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, well, if you do the trade too, then we won't be able to put the money back on the card. I'm like, I was like, fine, just give me. I was like, here, I'll do it this and then pay the difference. You guys win again, you fucking assholes. Like, it's just. Yeah. And again, it's not the person's fault. They can't do anything. But it's so frustrating that's a company. The other thing that happened when I was purchasing the thing beforehand is when she first rang up the game, she was like, oh, do you want... She's like, it'll be this. And they did that same thing where I was like, oh, what's this edition? I thought it was 27. They're like, oh, and then you had the protection plan. I'm like, I didn't have the protection plan. I don't need that. It's a cartridge, for one. Two, I'm an adult. Like, it's not... I don't need this. And then when I was buying the controller, it was another thing. I was like, I thought these were, I mean, they're already ridiculous. I was like, this is already $70. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we had the protection plan on there. I'm like, no, I didn't want $13 worth of protection plans with your company that I'm not asking for, that you're just adding to the total before I even get the chance to say no to it. And then goes through the spiel, like, well, it protects us from anything like this. I'm like, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's no accidental coverage that's going to happen on this controller that you're going to cover. Like, unless the controller itself breaks, but at that point, I'm going through Sony anyway. I'm not going to deal with you. It's not going to, it's going to be, it's a hassle on either end, but I have to imagine it's going to be more of a hassle to try and deal with your company because you don't do it for the bare minimum. And it's just, I fucking hate the place. Like, I just don't understand how what their customer service initiative, other than it doesn't exist, but just this thing of the constant method of their, like, store function is just like, fuck them at any chance. Anytime you get the chance, fuck them. Even if it's the slightest, fuck them. We're not going to let them get one over on us. We're tired of them making fun of us for just carrying pop figures and only giving them 8 cents for their $50 games. We're done being the joke. So now we're going to get one over on everybody or some shit.
Yeah.
They also had a cop in the store too, so they can't pay their employees and they have to make them dance for money, and then they have hired security now. Not that, again, that's fine. Like, the stores need protection, whatever. I totally get that. Whatever the deal. But it does seem very odd that they're firing a ton of people but still have money to hire security or whatever when they could just pay another staff member or something. Like, it's just such a fucking hellhole. I hate it. Luckily, I'm done with it. I've gotten.
It's like retail in general, though. It's like there's a reason that it's fallen so far behind, because I think a lot of companies have gotten better about their policies and stuff, but one thing GameStop, it's like they're not gonna dig into the drawer and give you cash because they're hurting. So it's like if we can just store credit them, that keeps their money circulating here. But what happens if GameStop goes belly up? What happens to all that store credit? What happens to
They keep it. They keep all of it. There's none of that stuff matters. That's the issue they were having with people that pre-ordered at stores that closed. They were like, oh, well, we'll transfer it to another store, and never did it. So they just kept all the money from those stores that they closed that had pre-orders or console pre-orders or whatever. Some people, out hundreds of dollars because they pre-ordered or prepaid for consoles or whatever, and they just don't have their money. And that, one, should be illegal, but probably isn't somehow because our country sucks. But it's still just like it's just garbage. Like it's so disrespectful to people supporting your business, I guess, like more or less, but they don't give a fuck. And it's very upsetting. And I really should have just went to somewhere else and bought this controller. I should have not done it there. I saw them other places. I should have just done it. I happened to just be there. And I really wish I wouldn't have. But the thing is it's like, who do you support? Do you do Target? They're okay, but they're still not great. Do you do Amazon? Yeah. They're pretty terrible. But, it's like, where do you go to do anything if you want something?
I will say, I think a big thing happening lately is, especially around here, there's a lot of these like smaller game stores opening. So maybe worth like taking a look at them. Like you've got, like over here, there's like Game Exchange and like I think there's like Game Extreme. There's like a few different ones, and like some of the like third party like retro shops are also getting in the business of like selling current games. So
I feel like they have to. I mean, yeah. I don't know how they stay afloat without it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the demand for older stuff is there for sure, but I can't imagine it's enough to keep them afloat, especially with with the demand that the console stuff is in at the moment. But even then, I don't know how they get a hold of them either any faster than we do. Try
not to put yourself through that hellscape again, because I think the next time you do it, you might wind up on the news or something, and I'm kind of worried about it.
I mean, obviously, I was totally pleasant to the person. It was just like, because having worked retail for so long, I know it's not her that's doing it.
Yeah,
it's just like.
I'm just saying, like, your rage hatred of GameStop is going to send you over the edge one day.
I swear to God, as soon as she said something, and I was like, what do you mean? The officer started walking towards the counter. I swear to God. It was like he had been there to then effectively just bully people that are getting bullied by the store, is what it seems like. Because I swear to God, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, Jack, she just yelled. She goes, I can confirm, because she was there with me. And I was like, I swear to God, as soon as I was like, what do you mean? The guy just started getting close to the counter. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I'm not going to cause a fucking scene. I just don't understand how this is fair, upstanding upholder of the law, you fat fuck. Like, it was
Paul Blart walks over. Fucking arrests
he did. And I don't mean to insult the man's weight, but he wasn't, he wasn't sprinting for, in his free time. So I'm just saying... It doesn't seem like he's chasing people too far. Luckily, that store is pretty tiny. So, but it's just unbelievable. I can't understand it. And that's the thing too, is like, you can't even return anything new there that you have an issue with. They just don't take anything. Like any other retailer on the planet will do it. Like if it's like, I returned full consoles to Best Buy. I'm like, this just didn't work. And like, oh, that's fine. Or like Micro Center, or like, anywhere else.
The only
they have the best return policy on the planet. Like
they do, 100%.
It's really unreal how good their return policy is there, and especially like from my end is like, I keep all this shit pristine. So like when I'm returning it, if someone gets it secondhand from there, like used, they're buying basically a new thing, and so like. I don't feel too bad about it because I keep all the packaging material, all the everything, like as nice as reasonably possible to keep the thing. Mm-hmm. All the boxes, paperwork, whatever. half the time I don't even take that out because it's like I know what it does. I can read it, whatever.
Dude, half the time I try, but it's like sometimes putting like the boxes exactly the way they are. It's like I don't know how they did this. Like I know machines are doing this in a fucking factory somewhere, and I just don't have that accuracy because like I'll put the box back together and it's like always bulged somehow or like offset. Like how the fuck did they do this?
I've had a lot of practice with it, so I'm like fairly good, but I do understand. Yeah, actually, when I was putting, it's another side of the story, but I returned my index, so that was a part of it.
No shit.
I sent that back to them. Yeah, it's. I came to the realization after playing a lot of Alex, which I didn't finish it, but I played a very good portion of it. Is just like, there's nothing that's going to be better than this right now. And there's nothing that's going to justify this price point for what exists in VR at the moment. Like as much as I love that thing, like I really did, like there was often times where I just kind of look over at it and be like, oh, I'm so happy you're here. But it was like, the more I sat down and thought about it, it's like, that's like $1,100 and that's a lot of money. And this is like, as amazing as this hardware is and this technology and what's there, it's like, one, there is nothing coming. Like we have no, like other than, Respawn's Medal of Honor game, but it's like, maybe if it was anything but World War II, I'd be excited, but it's still like, a World War II game again. And, which not to say that that's going to be bad. It looks like it's shaping up to be really good, but I couldn't really find anything that was like, this justifies this. You know what I mean? Like, and then I thought about it more and I was like, wow, for this, I could have purchased both consoles. I could probably buy, I could get several hundred games on my already, put together system to play over the time period. I could get a PlayStation 5 controller just to dick around with. Like it was just, there is so many things that I was like adding it up and I'm like, this is kind of ridiculous. I should just not have this. And yeah, again, love it. It's a great piece. If you have a truly disposable income, it is totally worth it. But if not, it is hard to justify, I think. Because the other thing is like most people are like super into VR chat and it's like I have a girlfriend and our dog and like this and it's like am I gonna really sit in VR chat and talk to strangers for long periods of time? Not that there's anything wrong with doing that. It's like it's probably not gonna happen. Same thing with like Rec Room was super fun when we all played it. That was like probably the most fun I've had in VR still. But it's like how often is that going to be? And I'd say other than the benefit of the physical activity behind it, I think it's just the cost to actually to the investment is extreme, especially when it seems like we're going for another lockdown and some other stuff. It's just like, I don't know. Things are too unsure for me to do that. And I guess realistically, I could just buy another one at some point. It's not like, it's that thing of like I don't feel like I'm missing out on much yet because having now experienced through what VR has to offer, there's a lot of really good stuff, but there's nothing that still feels like. Again, other than Alex, but that you can. I feel like I could only play through that so many times to then be like, was that $1,000 experience? I don't know.
Well, we talked about it last episode, but I think it's still very early as far as like library goes. But the other thing is that I think it's going to take a company making like a very affordable PC, truly PC ready system that is maybe not quite on the level as a Valve Index, but like, at least have the cost of the tech go down, like at least manufacturing it, producing it, because I think at some point the headsets are going to get better over time and cheaper to produce and cheaper on the consumer in general. Like, I think it'd be dumb to say that Valve isn't looking at least making more affordable options of the Index.
I assume they are, yeah. I think it's just the other problem is like because I follow, especially leading up to all these purchases of the Oculus and all this, like I've been following like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different Reddits of just VR related stuff. And like, I hate to say it really, but I think the mobile VR is where it's going to end up. Like, it feels like that's where everyone's headed and what everyone seems to want, because even like when I put out that video about like not liking that, it was like the most disliked. It actually is the only video I've ever put out that has had more dislikes than likes, and substantially amounts of it. And it could be the quality of the video, but I really don't feel like that's necessarily it. But because the majority of the comments were like, it's like, oh, it was like, it's sort of like gimmicky troll comedy thing where it's just like the SpongeBob font of just like, he's like, I'll never understand people that want to keep the wire and all this and shit. And so it's like, it seems like the biggest gripe that people have with traditional VR is a wire. And it's like, that never really, like, I could see how it would break immersion a little bit, but especially having compared the two of them close together, like, the refresh rate and the field of view especially, and just being able to adjust your eyesight on it and all that stuff, like, and the performance of the thing and the actual fidelity of it was like so vastly superior to what the Quest 2 was offering. It was insane. And like and I get for the price difference maybe it being somewhat justifiable, like, but I also think a lot of that comes down to someone like just not being able to afford the whole setup. Like, luckily I have the benefit of already having a computer that was more than capable of running the thing, so that cost was already out. So it was just down to the headset pricing, which again is pretty stark different. It's still like having, again, compared the two, it's like, I don't know how, if you had the option of this thing, you would ever choose this one just because of the wire being the hang up. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And especially because it's like, that's the other worry, right? Is because of how well the Quest 2 has sold, how big of the fan base is around it, and how available it is to people, financial, or like just, monetarily, like it is so much cheaper than the Index itself. You could buy 4 of them for one. You could buy your whole family a Quest rather than getting, one Index for the house or whatever. So with that being said, it's like, it's that issue of now it seems like Oculus is monopolizing that market already, and they have the development front to make the games there. And the problem, there's 2 problems to that. Is like, one, they've blocked off their side of VR to where if you have the more comfortable, better headset that works better for you or for your eyes or head shape or whatever, you still cannot enjoy any of the quality built for, funded for VR titles that are on Oculus's platform, which is super upsetting. So it's like, you have what I would say Half-Life Alyx is the peak of VR to this date. But if you look at like one step down, there's like 50 of those titles that are on Oculus only, which is super frustrating. So then you have that point of it, which is irritating already. And then you have the issue of like, all those games are great, but now because they're all being forced onto this mobile platform, the fidelity of the game is getting cut back. Like, all these other things are being dialed back to fit it onto a mobile headset rather than really pushing fidelity and performance and all this other stuff to make it as exciting. And I think it also comes down to, too, if you like look at the marketing for the Oculus Quest 2, it's all like very gorgeous high fidelity artwork and imagery and stuff that they're showing when someone puts on the headset, and it is not even close to what that is. Like, it is very misleading in the marketing of like, jump into these worlds or whatever, and it's like, it's showing like basically like frames, framed shots of like the Mandalorian, and then you put the headset on and you're like, dude, there's no way, dude. These games look like Madden, for the PlayStation 2. So one, it's like misleading in its marketing. 2, it's like closing off that thing. And 3, it's monopolizing the whole wireless side of the market. And in addition to requiring the login, all this other bullshit we've talked about before, but it's still just like, it's super disappointing because, again, the thing is there. Like, the hardware is there to some extent. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird space for games there, in a weird way. It's like the adverse of what Nintendo is facing now, where it's like their console is like somewhat super low fidelity wise and performance wise and everything else, and it's still great. But now they've got to the point where like no one wants, or no bigger studios are going to start developing for that thing in the same way, because it's such a downgrade from what's now being offered on especially the new consoles and then the PC or whatever, And not that Nintendo's ever really tried to compete with them, but now that they've finally opened up to third-party titles, it's like,
well,
now there's not really a reason for third-party to develop on there, you know?
Well, I mean, now you have like Control and Hitman going to like streaming on the Switch, and I think that in the meantime is going to be something. But and I guess we could engage in this now, but like there's been a lot of rumors floating around lately about like a new Switch revision, and the thing I think about is that like the Xbox and PlayStation 5 are very similar architecturally, like very similar.
It's like a 2 gigahertz difference on the processor. Not 2 gigahertz, it's like a 0.2 gigahertz on the processor, and that's the only difference.
They're both built on like, I think it's like Zen 3 or Zen 4, like AMD's latest like chipset.
Yeah.
And so Nintendo has the advantage of like NVIDIA behind them because, you know, they made the NVIDIA Tegra part of the Switch, and I think that NVIDIA's like mobile processing and technology is going to be what sends like mobile gaming over the edge, like as far as like fidelity and playability and graphical capability, stuff like that. But I think that is a very appealing thing for Nintendo to go down. And we could lead into this, but more and more you're seeing people complain about performance in Switch games. Yeah. You know, you look at like Pikmin 3 is a port of a Wii U game, runs pretty damn good. Smash Ultimate's one of the smoothest games I've ever played, but like some of the ports coming out, like your Deadly Premonition 2, which ran terribly.
I mean, you're even seeing it on first party. Like Link's Awakening doesn't run great. Like
there's
especially
parts,
when you get into the open that world, it's kind of bad every time, and it chugs in really weird spots, and like, and then in ones that are more predictable, it's like, well, I'm gonna cut a heap of grass right now, so get ready for it to tank for a second. Like it's just, I mean, that's
like, one of my
I'd say
favorite...
that's like probably their most notable problem game they have, like from first party anyway, because the rest of them seem pretty good. Hyrule Warriors not so much, but that's again not their game, so that's different. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, and way back in one of our first couple episodes, I brought in footage of Mutant Year Zero running on Switch, and that's one of my favorite games of that type to play, like PC, which it's going off of Game Pass. So if you haven't played it, it's worth playing if you have Game Pass, by the way. But the Switch port of that thing is awful. It is the worst port of any game I've seen to date. I also
Outer
have like,
Worlds is abysmal as well. I mean, there's and the thing is, you kind of argue it's like, well, it's sort of never been good. Like unless it's a game they've made or like an indie game. Even some of those too, like Dead Cells had some problems when it first launched. They ironed it out, but it was still like got kind of chuggy and stuff. And you're like, man, is this really struggling the thing? Because
I heard the Hades port on Switch is actually pretty competent. Like there's parts, I think, like when it gets a little hectic, but they did scale down some of the particle effects, and I think the resolution decrease helped. But that game, like you're so far away from the action. Like, yeah, fine details, very good for a PC, but maybe the Switch doesn't need all that.
No, it doesn't. But that's the struggle with it is like, why are they still trying to throw it in? I think it's maybe the issue of it being a docked console as well. Like it's just like, well, it may be on a big TV, so we need to add all this finer detail that they may see that you're not going to notice in the handheld version of the game or whatever. And I feel like at time, like it's obviously its greatest benefit is its ability to do this, but it's also kind of its biggest detriment as well, is that it sort of has to do both somehow rather than just do one really well. It has to try and do both okay. And I mean, I love, for what it is, I absolutely love the thing, but I also struggle to find titles on it that feel worth playing on this thing. Like, cause it's like, you look at like Thief Simulator, it's like that game doesn't even run well on a good computer. So I can't imagine the Switch one's going to run like anything but dog shit. And then it's like, or like Cooking Simulator. And then you get to, like we've talked about plenty of times too, with like the city builders, and you're like, no fucking way am I going to run Cities Skylines on this thing.
Yeah,
like,
no,
there's no way I'm even going to try that. And then, and I think the problem too is that you have had like very few, like The Witcher 3 runs pretty well. Like, it's better. It runs way better than you would expect and probably than it should. I wouldn't say it's still like, if you have anywhere else to play it, do it there, but it's still pretty competent. I've heard the Divinity 2 port is really good as well.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that as well.
And that's another thing too, where it has like cross save stuff, which, you know, could be a feature that would be more welcome between PC stuff. Because I think the Switch as a companion to a PC is phenomenal. And like, if we could sort of mend that gap a little bit more and let Nintendo let the chains off a little bit, like, you know, instead of doing the thing where it's like, hey, you know, you can have the, I mean, they're never going to do this, but it would be that thing of like, hey, if you paid $70, you get the PS4 and the PS5 version. It's like, hey, if you spend $70, you get the Switch version and the PC version, and then I'm fucking sold. Like, then I don't mind spending the amount rather than buying games 5 times to play them and then have to start them over and all this other stuff.
Well, it's interesting too because, like, Nvidia, like I said, Nintendo is the only player right now using Nvidia technology for consoles. So maybe we come across a future, like, to this day right now, full disclosure, I don't recommend doing this, but to this day right now, you can modify the Switch to break it open and do Nvidia game stream from your PC to the Switch. Because the technology exists within the console, they just don't open that capability. So with an open source OS on the Switch,
for that matter,
or a web browser, because I know that this is where people go. Like the web browser on Nintendo products, because I'm not saying I've done this at all. Of course, I've never broken open a Nintendo console, but the web browser is always the vulnerability, which is why I think is the real reason they haven't done a web browser on the Switch. In fact,
or they saw how much porn was on PSPs and they're like, we can't let them do that.
So they patched it out, but when the Switch released, you could go to an about page in the software in settings, click a link, and it would bring up a full-fledged browser. Yeah,
you could go through Facebook too. When you try to sign into a Facebook, you could bow out of it and it'd take you to a browser.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's fully built. Like, it's very, very odd.
It's very much there. Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is that, like, maybe Nvidia, like a big giant that they are, maybe they maybe throw a little bit more money at Nintendo, or maybe they increase their partnership a bit, and then they really start to try and open the floodgates on that stuff. Because also Nintendo experimenting with game streaming, or the publishers, well, that's developers
the thing is,
Control and Hitman doing it, and RE7 was a streaming game in Japan as well. So
yeah, well, and that's the other side of it too. I mean, I guess you run into that issue because Nvidia kind of got in some hot water already for putting games on that service, even though people already own the game to stream it anyway, and they were developers were like, you can't do that, and it's like, they already bought the thing. What does it matter? Like, I don't understand the difference here. Because it was sort of like, yeah, because if you could roll that into where it's like you pay Nvidia $5 a month or whatever, or even 10, or if you could roll it into a higher version of Nintendo's online service or something, and get the option to then, stream games or whatever from, that you already own on PC to that, then that would be a huge difference. That would be remarkably better.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen. I wish it would, but I don't know that I see it.
My worry for gaming is that right now there's so many streaming services for video content. So many. It's an endless amount. You have NBC's, Viacom, CBS. You have CBS All Access. You have Netflix, Hulu, AMC.
Actually, if you go on Amazon, there's even more than that. So we were watching this movie called Christmas Mail, which is a shitty Hallmark movie that we heard was really bad, so we wanted to watch it.
I'm sure there's a Hallmark streaming service, dude.
So there's a couple different ones, but this one was I watched it on a 7-day free trial of Faith and Family channel on Amazon. So whatever that is.
No.
Seems like mostly Hallmark movies, but Hallmark's branding is not anywhere somewhere on it, and this movie did not involve God, so I don't know the faith and family thing exactly.
Yeah.
And a quick side note to both of those, there is a show on Netflix called The Bible Challenge Show, hosted by Jeff Foxworthy. I just want you to know that, because I haven't seen it. We're probably going to watch it tonight because I found it this morning.
On Netflix?
Yes. It's called the Bible Challenge Show or something.
Oh,
but
no.
I'm pretty sure that's Jeff Foxworthy's dumbass face on the front of that.
He was also the spokesperson for Golden Corral, so you know that he's the pinnacle of quality. You know, when Jeff Foxworthy is around, you're getting the most out of your dollar.
You're getting either barbecue sauce or you're getting good bits. You know
that's
that
right.
much.
That's right. But what I'm getting at, though, is that I think because like NVIDIA did that thing, the reaction that publishers and developers had to it, I think speaks volumes, because it's going to turn into that for like that abundance of streaming services for TV and movies is what gaming is going to turn into. Every different publisher, every different like indie dev, or not indie dev, but like smaller publications are going to be the ones that kind of buy into these major streaming services like xCloud but I think in the future with the streaming stuff, if it really does take off, that you're going to have EA like have their own service. Ubisoft, they're already positioning it. They're going to have their own service.
Well, I don't know, because they kind of already... I mean, streaming is different, I guess, than their actual service, but you see almost that, like, they're not... Like, Ubisoft almost offers it as, like, an option, whereas, like, EA had it for quite a while, and they tried 3 different methods for their, like, them-only service, and now it's going to Game Pass, because either Microsoft did a deal or they realized, like, hey, this isn't really, like... doing much for us as it sits, because EA doesn't put out enough games. They only put out sports games, really. They don't put out enough like other games every year, even though they've bought in half the game companies that exist and just tanked all of them. They don't have games to really put on there to make their service worthwhile. So it makes sense for them to put it somewhere else. So it's I see it more happening. Like with Game Pass, really, is like if Game Pass can just be like, let's just get all the major players here and just cut them into whatever deal we've already got going, because it monopolizes that side, but it is also offering the best version of it still. And that's, I think, the issue I have with a lot of other companies monopolizing things is they don't offer the best thing. They just offer the only thing. And at least with them, so far, they have had that best-in-class service for what they're putting out. So it's like, I mean, if someone's going to do it and try to do it right and do it well, then yeah, I mean, more power to them.
Yeah.
I think it's a harder sell if you start separating that way, because like Ubisoft even has its fanboys for sure. But like, I mean, I've liked a lot of their games, but even still, it was like, I did it just to try these 2 games because I was almost sure they wouldn't be worth buying. And that's exactly the extent of it. And that was pure, and that is, to me, exactly what happened. Like, not that there's games are necessarily bad to each individual person, but it was like, you know, oh, okay, well, we got, I think the other thing too is like, I feel like they launched 2 major open world games kind of back to back right before the most anticipated open world game to date. So it's like, I don't know why. Actually, they're launching a 3rd one like a week out from that,
Phoenix
which
Rising.
is insane.
Yeah.
So you're just like, guys, like, tone it down with your worlds, man. They don't all need to be this open, expansive thing. I say all that, but I've been playing like The Crew 2 a lot. That's like kind of the last thing I was playing all day yesterday. I was just playing racing because it was available. It's a fun game.
That's the thing, man. I like that we still have those swan song, like, love letter studios making like decade-long efforts in games. Like Half-Life Alyx wasn't put together in a year. That was you know, in planning, development, or like very hush hush for several years. Cyberpunk, another good example. Like,
well, I was talking to somebody about this on Reddit the other day because that was their thing, was like, hey, Valve, please tell us if you're making more, you know, VR games. We need to know. And it was like, I was like, I agree with that sentiment for VR specifically, because that is the quandary I've been going over, and the issues I had up until, sending that back was just like, yeah, really, what is coming for these? Especially from not Oculus, like what is actually coming out here? And the thing I came to realize with them is like, Valve is almost identical to Nintendo in that same way, and especially the way Nintendo has got to recently, where it's like, they don't have to say anything and you're going to buy it, and almost without a doubt, their new strategy, which we've talked about plenty of times, has just been like, here's a demo today, the game's out in a month. Here's this today, game's out in like a week. Here's this, it's available right now, whatever. And we didn't say shit about it beforehand. And to, I think, Cyberpunk's detriment and to Half-Life's credit is like, Half-Life 3 was like the most, and this is not technically Half-Life 3, but that was like the most hyped up game. It's so hyped up that it became a joke, but it was never hyped up by Valve at all. Like, they never said anything. They never had to say a single thing about it. And that's why people weren't like necessarily disappointed or necessarily angry at them. I mean, there was people that were, but it wasn't like they never did. They just didn't say anything. They never did anything though. Like, they never promised anything. They never made this thing come out. They never said that they were going to do anything. They just didn't. And at that point, we've already gone like, well, we're never getting another Half-Life game. And then they're like, check this out, bitch. Game's out in a month. And you're like, oh, shit. Yeah. And it ends up being incredible. And the thing with Cyberpunk is it's like, there's no, as good as I think that game is going to be and how much I know I'm personally going to enjoy it, there is no way that game is ever going to meet the hype that has been generated around it, because one, it's been marketed like crazy. It's been delayed several times, and they've been talking about it for like 2 years plus at length. And it's like,
I still give them credit though, because like I said, when we're talking about Ubisoft, the criticism there is that like, They have the yearly franchises. They spend like 2 years making a thing and then just here it is, right? But like, you have your Rockstars and you have your CD Projekt Red out there, and they're the ones that like when it's done. Like Cyberpunk, when they announced it, I'm fairly certain it ends with like when it's done. Like
it did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it definitely did. I remember that.
And that was kind of a meme, because that was like, Duke Nukem Forever, like when it's done. But yeah. Like, at the same time, I appreciate that there's the studios out there that take time with the craft. Like, there's still early access games out there. Like, Rust is a good example. That's been out since, like, 2012 and is still getting substantial updates. Fortnite. It's another one that's never leaving early access. No, it did, didn't it? It did go one. Damn, okay.
I don't think it did. I think Fortnite is still technically in early access. I will pull up Epic Store right now and look while you continue. But
yeah, but that's what I'm getting at, is that like, yeah, I understand that like Cyberpunk taking its time as much as they did and talking about it as much as they have in generating the hype for that long could make that game turn out to be not as desired. Like, the hype around it's just way too big. But
I don't personally feel that way. I just mean like as
I get what you mean though.
Well, you've seen other gamers, like you know how they get, and it's just that thing of like, I feel like they're. Well, I mean, one, there's gonna be people that always hate a game because it's so hyped already that they're just not gonna like it for no reason, and then you have a bunch of different sides of it. But I do think that. It's like I said, it's a benefit and a detriment. Like, there's never been a game that has been this like overwhelmingly talked about or waited for. I mean, I can't think of another game really in recent memory where other companies have been like, well, we gotta wait for that to come out because there's no fucking way we're gonna try to do that. And like, and that's crazy. Like, that's insane. And again, the gall and fucking balls of Ubisoft to be like, you know what? Nah. Let's do it. We've got a good one on our hands too. And you're like, you never do. You try really hard sometimes. Like, and no disrespect to anybody working at Ubisoft, but it is really that thing of like the hubris behind whoever's in charge of that company to just be like, nah, we'll do it. Or it's not even that. It's just like, it doesn't fucking matter. No one cares what we're doing.
The other thing is,
or it's like we're giving it out anyway. Who cares?
A single publisher putting out 3 open world games in like a month's time. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if like because I think they expect like, oh, the Watch Dogs fans are going to come play for Watch Dogs. The Assassin's Creed fans are going to play over there. But it's like, if you spread these games out just a little longer, I think that you probably would have seen people like by the end of Cyberpunk, like Cyberpunk's big hype wave. Like once that dies down, I think people are going to be more susceptible to playing an open world game. But to release 3 of them all at once, it just seems very bizarre.
Now that I think about it, though, I don't know that Ubisoft makes a game anymore that isn't an open world game. Because like The Crew 2 is a racing game, it's a fully open world game. Then you have like Tom Clancy, I guess Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six isn't over. Yeah.
That's not an open world game, and then their sword game. But then you have, but everything else is like Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. Those are all open world games. Division's an open world game. It's an MMO-ish, but it's an open world. And then, I really can't. Far Cry's open world.
Well, they also have Rayman, which they aren't doing anything with right now, which is kind of upsetting, but...
Hopefully they are, because that's like the best platformer that's come out in a long time. Both of those Raymans are phenomenal. And they should do more with that series instead of just sitting on it.
Remember when they made a big deal about Ubi Art, and then they released like the Rayman games and then Child of Light? And I think that was like it.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, too. If they had thrown in a Rayman game instead of 3 open world games, dude, on it. Yeah. I would have happily bought a new platform game that was of that pedigree. Like, come on. And then you're not even really competing with that game anymore because you're not in a similar wheelhouse. You're a totally separate entity.
So, I guess we haven't played a lot of games. Do you want to just talk games, and then after the break we can come talk some news?
I mean, to be honest, like our news is so light at the moment, we could probably just burn through it really quick.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the main thing, like the Bethesda one will take me like 2 seconds, but basically, the update for Fallout 76, the Brotherhood of Steel came out yesterday night. Basically, they had released it on accident somehow on Xbox One, and so to make up for it, they released it on every platform simultaneously, which good cool on them. I played a little bit of it last night. It works. Seems like more Fallout 76, that for the better or worse. I'm like maybe 2 hours into the content that's there now, so maybe my tune will change. My camp bug of being able to disable or destroy or dismantle or move a piece of my camp is still present after 2 years, and this update continues to keep it unfixed. So my time with them is what it is. The Monster Hunter Iceborne is getting a crossover with Monster Hunter the movie.
Oh, so I can't keep up. Can't keep up. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, it's basically just a quick teaser that shows you being able to play as Mila Jovovich as you fight at Diablos, which is, that mission will probably be better than the entire movie will be. So there is that to look forward to. That comes out, I think, on December 1st. The
crossover,
the DLC. Yeah. I'm not sure when I wonder when that movie comes out. I want to say February, but it might be December. It does not. I'm trying to find out where it is. Oh, December 30th is the release date, but I don't know if that's one of those like no, December 25th. It's 90 minutes long. Hopefully
that movie
it'll be
coming out in theaters. Like, what's the?
Some of them probably, but probably not all of them. I don't know. I really don't know where you would be able to see this. I imagine it'll be like other ones have been, where you can just pay $20 online, which I'll probably end up doing, unfortunately, to see it. But
the original trailer that came out, like at the end, said only in theaters. It's like, read the fucking room, guys. Like,
yeah,
what the
put
fuck
it
are you
only
talking
on.
About?
Yeah, I don't know, because. Yeah, I mean, like we went from like YouTube and just ordered like Bill and Ted's when it was in theaters, and it was like $20, and that was totally fine. I have to imagine, but that was also available on like Fandango and Alamo Online and all this other shit. So I don't know why they wouldn't do that. but maybe no one cares. So that could be there also. It's a very particular movie for a particular group of folks. And even as a huge fan, I don't think I'm one of them. But again, as I've said, I have to know.
Yeah.
And then other than that, the only real major thing that's happening is all the Black Friday deals are popping up. eShop has one right now, which is kind of a disappointing one, to be completely honest. Like,
yeah, it's not great. I saw that one
like
earlier.
Link's Awakening and Mario Party are there only two like real first party games that are discounted, which is kind of a fucking bummer. Especially considering, like, I don't know, you look at like Odyssey's been out for like 3 years. Same with like
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild like,
title.
You can discount them, dudes. Like, you're good. Like, maybe just, I don't know, let other people in, or like I would buy. I traded in Odyssey, but I would buy it again if it was $20. You know, like, come on. And kind of a disappointing sale on their front. Steam's having their fall sale right now, which is like mostly 25% off of most stuff. I'm
glad to see Sea of Thieves has the highlight on the store page.
That it did. Yeah, they almost got me. I was like, I own this on Xbox, but I might as well, or on Windows Store. I might. Especially since thanks to GameStop, I have $80 fucking in Steam credit now. So, which, I mean, really, realistically, that's my Cyberpunk pre-order anyway, so I'm not like too worried about that. But another big one, Squadrons, is down to like $20, which is, if you're looking for that game, that's a pretty decent price for that game. I think I wasn't super high on it, but I think at $20, there's fun to be had there. And I think they're adding new ships here soon. And then I think Epic's sale starts tomorrow, which I'm waiting for because I do still kind of want to play Godfall, even though I don't think it's a good game. I do want to play it, and I'm hoping it'll be cheaper tomorrow.
I do have a very weird, like, what's the word? Hankering is like the worst word to use.
Yeah.
I do kind of want to play that game. I kind of want to see what it's about.
I found, if you're a humble subscriber, you can get it for $47, which is not that bad. And that was kind of what I was going to pull the trigger on. I'm waiting because it's an Epic exclusive to see if it goes on sale tomorrow. If it doesn't, then I may just end up getting it from Humble. Although I feel it's one of those things where I feel like I should wait for that game, but it also does feel like a game that checks all my smooth brain box, where I'm like, I get to fight shit and deflect and get to fight and I get cool armor and you get loot. What?
Whoa, dude.
Yeah. So it seemed, and there's co-op that I'll play with nobody. Aw, hell yeah. Because no one else gonna buy this game but me. What?
I'm thinking, I'm like on the fence, but
look, I promise you this: if you were to get it, I will also get it.
Okay.
I will 100% do that.
I'm on the fence because we got biggest game.
We got Cyberpunk. That's it, dog. That's the only thing that's coming. So
yeah, this is going to become a Cyberpunk podcast for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
it's going to be nuts.
Well, I do want to play like what is it like? I want to play Chronos because I love Remnant, and that's a prequel to that. Although it was an Oculus game that they just took all the VR out of, and it's more similar. It's one of those weird VR games that's like you're the third person camera playing a Dark Souls game basically. So I can't imagine it was too taxing for them to just take that part of it out and just make you the camera. But yeah, it is the prequel to Remnant from the Ashes, and this is Chronos Before the Ashes, I think is the name of it. But it looks a lot like Dark Souls. There's not guns and stuff in it, and there's a weird mechanic with like in the in-game lore, you can only go through the temple once every year. So every time you die, technically you don't go back story-wise for another year. So you age, and every 10 years, you can like focus more on a certain skill or something. And the idea is like as you become older, you technically become more wiser. So you become less agile, but you have like more magic abilities or some shit. Like it seems neat. Like the concept of it seems neat, and the Oculus version was reviewed very well. People seemed really high on it. So I am interested to play that. But again, I'll probably end up sitting for a bit on it as well, just because.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at the footage, I do remember this.
Yeah. It seems neat. I saw it like a week ago, and I was like, that looks like a game I play. And then I was like, oh shit, it's a prequel to this game that I spent 100 hours in. So yeah, maybe I should try this, because just to see, what they're bringing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of the news, I think.
I have one more thing.
Yeah. I've got one quick one. I guess Rockstar is offering Red Dead Online, but only the online to PS5 and Xbox One for like $5, but it's not coming to PC. So just those two consoles, if you happen to be interested in that, you can get that for $5, which is a pretty good deal for that.
No, it says
think
right
the
here.
Online's fun.
It
is?
Yeah, it says available Microsoft Store, Rockstar Games Launcher, Epic Games Store, and Steam. So yeah, that's coming. Yeah, for $5, and then you pay like $40 per class. Yeah, that sounds like a deal, dude.
Dude, the thing is though, if I'd only played $5 for the online and didn't have to pay for the single player game, I would have spent more money on the online, to be honest. Like, it was more of just the introduction was $60, and then they're like, hey, also another 20 here, another 20 here, another 20 here. How about the season pass? That'll be another 15. And you're like, fucking relax, dude.
Dude, I've played that campaign almost 3 times. I love the single player. I still haven't finished it
once.
It's easily my favorite Rockstar game. The world, the characters. I could spend a very long time talking about that game, but yeah, I've played the shit out of the single player of that game.
I need to finish it. I was enjoying a ton. Maybe that's what I'll go back and do as we lead up to Cyberpunk, because
I want to keep you from buying Phoenix Rising. I want to keep you from doing that.
Oh, dude, if anything happens, it would be another 14 for a month. I wouldn't be buying that game outright. There's no way. If it
could buy it on Stadia, I mean, that's an option. It's always an option.
No, I can't. I can't actually do that. I'm sorry. It's against everything I believe in.
My code.
Yeah. Come on, dude. Plus, they still haven't sent me a controller, so what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to play it with? My bare hands? Am I supposed to play it with my soundbar remote?
Yeah. What are you supposed to do? Play it with your headphones?
I don't have any triggers on this. What am I supposed to do? Play with my phone?
Yeah, well, hey.
Touch the buttons?
You could play with your phone. Stadia's everywhere, man. You're in Stadia right now.
Stadia's all around us. I don't realize it because I don't give a frick. All that data.
That wireless Stadia data.
I can feel the 5G, bruh. Especially towards the election, the 5G spiked. I can feel it everywhere.
Very odd.
Strange.
It's very, very odd.
You open your window, you just saw little numbers and letters in the sky. You're like, what's happening? And those are all the votes that didn't get counted.
Operation Jade Helm was just about establishing 5G across the South for the election.
Only the South. It didn't go anywhere else. It targeted specifically Wendy's and trailer parks. It was really weird where they put 5G.
Fucking odd, dude. Very odd.
It is real strange.
People with flip phones using 5G. It's very, very strange.
It's actually dangerous. Yeah. So that's
news.
Was that the news you were gonna bring up? Was that your thing?
That was basically. Oh, there was one other thing. They're making a new James Bond game. The people who made Hitman.
Oh, I heard about this. Hell yeah.
Yeah, IO is out there teasing a new Bond game.
Is the teaser just like a word and some sound, or is it like an actual like any gameplay footage?
Trying to see where they this is like their podcast episode. They announced it. Let me see if I can find the actual announcement. Oh yeah, here's the teaser trailer they put out. Yeah, that's essentially it. They just showed like, yeah, we're making this. which, yeah, I can't think of another developer out there that would make a good like Bond style game. Like, you're never going to capture GoldenEye again. That's just not going to happen. So, like,
No,
taking
and even
Hitman,
GoldenEye can't capture GoldenEye now. So
Yeah.
it's like there's no hope for that. But yeah, if there was a company to do it, fucking ain't right, it would be them.
Yeah, I wonder what it's going to be like, but it's cool, man. I like Bond as a property. Like,
oh, dude,
I
I grew up with it, of course. Like, it was the coolest shit when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And then we also got Austin Powers, which was the doofus version of James Bond, so that was cool too. Like, we grew up in a very James Bond oriented time period for some reason.
Really did. We really fucking did.
We had a lot of games. It was like N64, and then there was Nightfire on the PS2, and then the GameCube.
Nightfire's good.
And then you had Nightfire was good, and then we had what was it? Oh no, we have Nightfire over here. That's the one we do have. And then there was a couple other ones, but yeah, there was like quite a bit of James Bond games, and then there was a lot of movies that were still going out. This game was great. This is the one where I feel like we've talked about this before, but this is the one where you had the cell phone grappling hook, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a great game.
That's a good game. There was another. Yeah. There was the sequel to GoldenEye, I guess, but it wasn't developed by Rare. It was.
Well, they did like a re-release, right? Like they did.
Well, they did the reboot weird thing with like Daniel Craig as Bond. I think it was World Is Not Enough. The World Is Not Enough is actually a pretty decent game.
Yeah, that one's good. No, I'm saying like, didn't on the Wii they do like a GoldenEye again?
Yeah. They did like what it was called, like GoldenEye reboot. Rogue Agent. Rogue Agent was it.
Yeah. That looks bad. That doesn't look like a 007 cover at all.
So they did Rogue Agent, but then there was also hold on, I'm putting the footage or what we're looking at here. There was Rogue Agent, but I know the other one you're talking about. The other one was like,
because I think it even came with a PC. Maybe they did like
GoldenEye remake. What was it? 2010 video game. Yep, this fucking
there you go. Yeah, Wii, Nintendo DS, PlayStation 3, 360. Yeah, I remember this being pretty bad, but I don't remember.
It was really not good. Not a great game.
I mean,
it was essentially like
fine,
a Call of.
It
was like a Call of Duty style single player, like very linear.
Well, and that's what they said on the Giant Bomb too. Is just like, it makes so much sense for it to be a third-person game because you wouldn't be James Bond as a first-person character, really. Like, it's not like all the actions that you do as James Bond, you don't really do in first person. Like, climbing through windows, jumping off these huge skyscrapers, doing all this crazy action shit. It makes way more sense.
Do you think IO's gonna make Bond fuck their game?
I mean, James Bond's gonna make himself fuck. That's what he does.
I mean, that's like one of the pillars of the character. So
all the women's names are horny in James Bond.
Yeah.
So of course, it's gonna be like, I'm Contessa Clit Grease, and I work for Red Eyes, the kingpin up here. And he's like, oh, is that right? Clit money. I need you to
clit money. It's
like my name's Contessa Clip Pennies, and they'll be like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah, and I need you to rub my tits on this glass window in the shower, otherwise I'll kill. And he's like, I gotta do it, then I'm James Bond. And then he shoots like a bow and arrow out of the heel of his shoe, and it ricochets off of a paper, like a plate, and then kills the bad guy, but it wasn't really the bad guy, and there's actually a bomb in his hotel room. And so that Contessa Clip Pennies put in there, and so he's got to call up Doctor Who or whatever the guy's name, Q. He's got to call up Q.
Yeah, he's
I need more gadgets. And Q's in a meeting with Batman, and so he's like, hold on a second, Batman, I gotta make other gadgets for this guy. I know all about James Bond,
dude. I've seen him. Cool, so cool. We should really shop a James Bond movie one day. That'd be a lot of fun.
I think we did. I think. Well, what do you want to see out of a James Bond movie? What do you wish for in a James Bond video game?
In a James Bond video game, well, I want to see James Bond just go absolutely hog wild fuck. Like I just want to, I just want that.
Sure.
I also want I want to have the scene where James Bond just like walks into a room and like camera swoops in and like you see everybody kind of eyeing this dude like he doesn't belong here. I want like quick time events when stuff like that happens. I want like the guy walks by with the plate of like martinis and you have a quick time event to grab one, and if you fuck up you like knock him over and some goofball shit happens.
And then you don't get a chance to sleep with Penelope Pussy Pennies.
Dude, exactly. Yeah, that you fuck up your chance. You have to like it has Fallout style dialogue trees where you have to seduce the women into having sex with you. That's what I want.
She's like, wow, if he dropped that drink, he's really not as cool and as suave as I thought he was.
That's
he
right.
Probably can't even fire a gun out of his shoe.
Fire a gun. Shit, man.
He probably couldn't even shoot a blow darter out of his belt buckle if I ever saw him.
I bet he couldn't do that. I bet he doesn't even have laser watch.
I bet the headlights in his car aren't even machine guns. This dude's nothing.
This is fucking. He's driving a Beamer without any fucking cannons on it. Fucking pussy.
I don't even think his car has ejector seats. This dude's broke as hell.
Dude,
and he's goofy and he can't walk good and he can't take drinks off plates.
He don't own a jetpack. He works at 7-Eleven. He ain't 007. What the hell?
Jetpack? I bet the dude doesn't even have a jet ski, dude. He's totally broke.
Fucking worthless Bond.
Yeah, everybody has a jet ski except for that guy.
That's what I want. I want the guy. I want a James Bond game, but you play as a guy who thinks he's as cool as James Bond, but he's not James Bond.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's behind him every step of the way.
Right.
Like that's what I want. I want the bystander.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like not even a part of the story, but he's just sort of. Well, yeah. I mean, let's call him what he is. He's sort of like a clumsy stalker, more so.
Yeah. He just comes into these situations.
He's sort of like Shaggy, but if Shaggy was a stalker and he was just really hyper focused on James Bond and what he had going on.
Yeah.
And I think I'm cool with that game. I would like to be a part. I'm trying to think of like what. I guess the problem in the gameplay mechanic wise was it's going to be a lot of follow missions, and that's a bummer. A lot of those are not good. The action will be sort of fifth person, so you'll sort of watch a third person do the action as you just sort of pigeon them and kind of watch from a distance.
You're
so
like some weird voyeur.
Yeah, you're just sort of binocular watching him like, damn, he's doing cool stuff. I wish I could do that as the person playing this game. It's like his fantasy is it's just watching someone else do cool stuff. He's sort of, I guess he would be, for lack of a better term, he'd be an action cuck. So he he likes to not be a part of the action, but he likes to watch action happen in front of him.
I feel like I've seen that in a movie. I forget what it was, but like the main villain of the movie got like weirdly horny watching like the hero like fight all like the henchmen and shit. I'm trying to remember what fucking movie.
I mean, it sounds like Austin Powers, but I don't think it was.
No, not Austin Powers.
Was it one of the Kung Fu Power movies or Kung Pao movies? Maybe something like that. I'm trying to think. It sounds familiar to me.
I also want to say it was what was that movie that came out? The Golden Compass is wrong. It's the
I don't think it was Golden Compass.
It was not Golden. It was the movie with Colin Firth and the younger guy. Samuel L. Jackson was the bad guy in it, and it was the movie about the secret society of like spies and shit. Fuck, what was that?
You're talking
movie
about
called?
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
No.
I don't know who Sam Worth is or whoever you said.
Colin Firth, Sam Jackson
I don't know who that is.
movie. What was that fucking?
Oh,
movie
you're
called?
talking about
Kingsman.
Kingsman.
Kingsman. Yeah, I think
I
that
haven't
like
seen this movie.
I think Sam Jackson gets like horny about like all the shit happening. Like I think that there's like a part in that movie that some shit like that happens.
I didn't see that. I'll tell you what movie I did see recently. Kevin James' Zookeeper, and that was Can I tell you a secret about that movie that I didn't realize until about 30 minutes into it while we were watching it? Do you know that was a talking animal movie?
Yes, I knew it was a talking animal movie.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was just a movie about animals, and I didn't realize that Adam Sandler plays a dumbass chimpanzee the whole time. It's really annoying.
Yeah,
he plays a dumb small monkey, and he's like, "What? It's Kevin James. You can't be doing that." And you're like, "Fuck you, Adam Sandler. You got me again." I know I've been hanging around your movies, but
isn't the plot of that movie that like he falls in love with a bitch and like all the animals are just trying to get him laid or something? That's what it boils down to, right?
You're pretty close. Yeah, it was basically like he proposes to this girl, she breaks his heart, and so he's working at the zoo. He's always worked at the zoo, but she wants him to not be a zookeeper because for some reason she sees that as a belittling position, even though he's very good at. I know that was my partner's whole biggest heap about it was just like you have to go to like very prestigious stuff and do a lot of veterinary training and other stuff to have that job. Like it's a qualified job, and she wants him to be a car salesman. Because his brother sells Ferraris and stuff, so she sees that as a more worthwhile job. But anyway, they see Kevin James is going to quit because this girl comes back into his life, but he can't have her yet. So the animals train him how to become the alpha male. Apart from Joe Rogan, who is the new love interest of this girl. And he is obviously clearly the superior alpha male.
Is it really Joe Rogan?
It's 100% Joe Rogan.
Oh, shit.
So then it's his constant quandary of becoming the man she wants him to be and then realizing that that's not the man he wants to be and he really wants to be with the also attractive girl that works at the zoo who he has fun with, and somehow all these men are always oblivious to the person they're having fun with being their partner. It's very stupid. And then what is it? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a video about this movie, to be honest with you, because it's like it's so bad. It's so bad and it's so stupid. And we've realized with so many movies that we've seen is one, not only are the plots very predictable, even for bad movies, because usually that's why we like B movies, because you don't have any idea where it's going most of the time. Like you have some general idea, but some of the beats of it are just so crazy. Like we watched some mermaid movie called Scales, which was with like 11-year-old girl who's becoming a mermaid, but this town is filled with mermaids and they have like a mermaid society. But then this kid, this is a so much longer topic than I thought it was going to be. This kid that has brittle bones disease, his dad is hunting mermaids because mermaids have healing powers, right? To fix his son's broken bones, his small weak bones. To fix his son's avian bones, I guess you'd say. And so they're hunting the mermaids, but it culminates in the craziest ending ever because they have to catch this girl before her 11th birthday because when she turns 12, she fully transitions to mermaid, and then they're of no use to mermaid hunters anymore, I guess, or their blood is less pure as they become a pure mermaid or some shit. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Point being is, even after the mermaids decide to help the boy so they don't have to be killed, they come out of the water and they're like, you don't have to kill, or you don't have to hurt us. We'll heal your boy anyway because we just have healing powers. You don't need to steal our blood. And then this one guy is like, no, but we need it for research. So then this 11-year-old girl is like, you didn't realize? She's like, yeah, we can control water, and you're 70% water. And no shit, explodes a man on the beach, and no one even bats an eye about it. Like, she straight up murders a guy at the end of this movie. There is literally no violence in the rest of this film, but she straight up murders a dude, and you can sort of see it on some of the characters where they're just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what just happened? And then they're still just like, oh, honey, oh, I love you. Oh, it's so nice. Oh, you helped this guy. And we're just like, you just ripped a guy apart through the water in his body, dog. And no one's gonna even bring that up.
You don't even go to like Xavier's School for Mutants after that? Like, what the fuck?
Well, they do. So that's the thing, is they do have to go. Mermaids have to go into the ocean for 3 years. 3 years, half-breed mermaids. 3 years on land, 3 years off land, for them to be able to be proper half-breeds, because they have trouble breathing at a point, so they have to go back into the water. Turns out, though, she's a real-ass mermaid, so she can come and go as she pleases.
So, that's my next question. That's my next question, because it looks like this movie has two different subtitles. I see Scales, A Mermaid's Tale, but it's also billed as Scales, Mermaids Are Real.
Yep. I think A Mermaid's Tale might have been another movie, so they might have had to change that tagline. Because that is the movie. That is not at all. See that kid on the right? He's got no bones. He has brittle bones disease. There's one time. There is no shit. Okay, see if on YouTube real quick if you can type this in.
Stanley,
dude. Just okay. See if on YouTube if you can find a clip of Scales, like Scales bone break or something. Oh yeah, Danny Gonzalez talked about it. That's where it was. But you'd have to watch the whole thing. It's like 30 minutes. There's a scene where the kid is trying to tell. The kid somehow, even though he has no working bones, shows up at great distances to find other characters in this film somehow. Like against his father, who is trying to hunt these mermaids. This dude just shows up everywhere. But so he goes. He's at this lady's home. She's rushing in because she's trying to find her daughter, and he's like, "Hey, wait a second!" And she closes the door, and he puts his hand out to catch the door and breaks his hand. It shatters his arm, and then it shows you like a zoomed in thing of his arm snapping. It's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. And that's like the act of violence is this kid's weak bones, and then her ripping someone apart with.
That's what that's my last question before we go to break. Real quick, is that so? She says that they found out that the mermaids found out that humans are 70% water.
No. They didn't find out. They knew.
But who have they always had the power to just like explode somebody? So the
thing is that she is a special mermaid who has like extra special powers. So she can do more than the rest of them can. Like she has the ability to control water and heal. Not all mermaids have that ability. So that's
lock
that.
Her up,
I don't
dude.
know.
Put her in fucking prison for like away from water forever. That's the solution.
I'm trying to see if they're just gonna show this scene at the end, because I think okay, so I'm going to coffee at the current time. Let me send this to you. Or actually click on the Danny Gonzalez one right there. The very top one, and just go to 22 minutes and 57 seconds. And that should give us
audio or
no, I think we'll be fine without it.
22 minutes and 57 seconds?
Yeah, 22:57.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I need to see this for myself.
He's a funny man, but this is not what I need right now. Yeah, this guy's like talking a whole bunch of mess. This prostitute starts summoning the ocean, and then you think like, oh, she's gonna throw a bunch of waves at this dude. The little one's gonna come in and be like, check this out. I guess effectively what he's probably saying right now, but
here we go. And this is her telling him you're 70% water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're all like yes. That's the right face to make right there.
Oh my God.
And I swear to God, no one even acknowledges it. They're just like, huh,
I love
and they're
that
like,
he's
well, we love
just-
you guys. I'm glad you're safe. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad your bones are fixed. And you're like, you just killed a dude. Straight up killed him. And the thing is they start walking away and his clothes are still just on the beach. And you're like, there's his shit, dudes. Like, you did. Like, he was not a good guy, but you killed that fool.
I mean, not to mention, like, also, it's just seems a little bizarre. Just seems a little odd to me.
Okay, you can. It might show it here too. If you go to 1750, you'll get the sick bone break scene.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
And then we can go to break. But this was another like really just insane one. Also, if anybody's watching this, you should definitely check out Danny Gonzalez's video on this. It's really funny. I didn't realize this was the same movie when we started watching it, though, and then I was like, oh, shit, right, I remember him talking about this. Yeah, he's just there.
He just put his hand out.
That's what I'm saying. He's like... just shatters his brittle-ass bones.
Oh, pencil bones is what they called him.
It was so fucking funny. Because like I said, that kid just comes out of the side of the scene like, hey, I'm here too. He's just always... Somehow he's on crutches, but can just teleport. And then he shows up there to just like ask a question. And to his dismay, that's his fucking arm, daddy. That's it.
God damn.
Whew.
Yeah, I need to check this out. Out.
That one's on Netflix. You can just watch that one. So you should watch that one.
Perfect.
But yeah, we'll be back, guys, and we'll talk about some games we played, or maybe the 2 games we played, because there's not a whole lot, but we'll get into it in a moment.
See ya. Go.
All right, everybody, welcome back to video games, or
That's right.
I guess bad movies. Really, we do talk about video games, but I get actually one piece of news I totally forgot about before we get into everything else. That game Spellbreak is coming to Steam on I think the 15th. So
nice.
If you guys have that game or haven't played it yet because it was on Epic, you can now play it on Steam. So there is that. I totally forgot about that. So
worth
there's
playing.
that.
Worth playing. I actually really like that game. I think I want to jump back in and dink around with it a little bit.
We could try some duos. I have it downloaded still. I played a little bit like a week or 2 ago.
Yeah, pretty fun game.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. It could be worse.
I guess we're talking about the only game on your list so far.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could talk about, like I said, Link's Awakening a little bit as well, and then I feel like I played some other thing. Let me look at my Steam real quick. It just didn't feel like I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like I said, I played a little bit of the Fallout 76 stuff, which that seems to be mostly some story business. I haven't gotten too far into it yet, but it does generally seem like more of the same Fallout stuff, so not anything too wild there. I did also play... I guess actually I'll talk about I picked up a PlayStation 5 controller. I've been using that exclusively on the PC. So I'll talk a little bit about that because I have found it to be so Steam, I think either the day before or the day before that when I bought it. So I bought it yesterday, but either yesterday or the day before. Steam's beta branch added support for it, so it takes advantage of the trackpad, the gyroscope, the rumble, everything except for the haptic triggers. That still isn't in there, which I didn't expect it to be because I don't know any games on Steam that are also on consoles that would use it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's not there. That being said, though, the haptics in it feel really, really clean. Like they feel super nice. It's like a very subtle... It feels like there's vibrations in the whole arms of the controller. It doesn't feel like they're just at the bottom or anything. And on a lot of Rumble, it's very I don't want to say violent, but you can hear it happen. And it's real loud and kind of rattly. I don't none of that has been prevalent here. It's just all felt very clean, and you could tell different degrees of it too. Like when I was playing the Crew 2, like going over bumps and stuff, it was like very light, and then going over straightaways was more so, and then if it was on the left or right of the car, you could feel it more on the left and right of the controller and stuff like that, which that's all down to development stuff. That's not specifically on the controller itself, but it was utilizing proper levels of haptics and feedback, stuff like that in the games that I played with it. So that was really rad. The touchpad still works as a trackpad on the PC if you wanted to, like the PlayStation 4 one did. I love this thing. Like it feels. I actually think I prefer it to the Xbox Elite version 2 controller that I have. That's the other one that I'm like kind of Yeah, I do. Like I wish the layout matched, because I still think I prefer the Xbox layout of the joystick being, on the top left rather than in the middle. But like the D-pad especially feels really nice. The buttons too are not like, how on the PS4 controller they're like squishy to a point where you feel like if you press hard enough you could probably press it under like the shelling of the controller. You know what I mean? Sure. These ones are like, it has such a very short throw on it that it's like I don't know if I could even represent it here, but it's like I don't know. It's so light and responsive. Like the touch, it feels almost like half or less of the actuation that the other one took. Like it's very responsive in that regard. D-pad is the same. I would say the share or start select or whatever are like a lot more rigid and clicky than you would expect them to be. Like it's a very and again, this may pick up, it may not, but it's like that's the start and share. Like it actually feels a lot like Switch buttons do. Like that same amount of click with maybe a little more resistance to it.
So that's what I was going to ask, is like the D-pad, like does it feel like a membrane, or does it feel like mechanical almost? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it feels more like a membrane. I'd say it still feels more like a D-pad than it feels. It feels more similar to the original PlayStation 4 controller probably than any other one, but just a little less. Again, throw on it, so it just feels a little bit more precise. Like you're actually, it just seems more responsive overall for that stuff. I think the triggers feel better, and the bumpers also feel better. Like the top ones are a lot larger than the last one were, so they feel like you have a better give on them. And then they still have that like kind of hooked bottom for the trigger, so that also is pretty responsive. It's also a little hard to see, but you have like, it sort of grooves up on the bottom there, and then the sides are like completely flat at the bottom, so it ends up like fitting like in your palm really well, because that flat area is just like right on the base of your palm where you would want it to be. It's also if I'm comparing it to them, like size wise, they're like pretty much identical. It's still a little bigger even actually than this. And it weighs probably half the amount of this one as well. And to be completely honest, it also feels sturdier. Like, especially on the shoulder buttons and stuff, it feels way more put together than the Elite one does. Even though those have like metal buttons and other stuff, they just feel like they're not going anywhere. I don't know. It just feels, because I've also had bumpers break. This is my second Elite controller, because the first one, the bumper broke on it. And this one still feels good, but it feels like it might. And that could be just like a little bit of nervousness or in general, but it's really the achievement of that system, I think, is this controller. Like, again, and that's without even having felt the proper like haptic feedback of the rumble motors or the triggers themselves. Like, just generally using it feels super nice.
The echoes of sentiment that I see around the controller are that a lot of people want this technology to become like a standard this generation. Like people want Microsoft to like tackle haptic feedback on controllers a little bit more.
Yeah, it would do wonders in VR. I'll say that. Like if you could have the same resistance for like guns, especially because even in Call of Duty, from what I've seen, is like each gun will fire differently and it'll handle the trigger resistance a bit more. Some will even push back on the trigger a bit. Yeah, it feels really good. The click on the sticks also is like one of the first controllers I've ever felt where that feels like you're not gonna snap something. You know what I mean? Like I've never had one happen, but every time you click on it, it always feels like something's gonna break at some point. And these don't. Like it feels good. There's more resistance on the sticks too than on the PS4, which feels good, and a welcome addition, especially coming from the V2 because I have that on the tightest setting for the knobs there. I think the audio jack works. I haven't tried it, but it recognized it on Windows as a export for the audio. I haven't tried the microphone either, but I imagine it probably works too. I haven't tried that, so don't quote me there. The other thing I found, which I never really realized but tried with this, is if you add if you add like the Epic Games launcher or Ubisoft launcher or whatever to Steam, like the launcher themselves, when you launch those, then you have the full controller support of whatever in those games as well. So I was able, because I was playing whatever the Crew 2 is the Ubisoft version of that on their launcher is where I bought it, and I have had full responsive support there, and then I played Tetris Effect and stuff with it. And I tried it before doing that, and it didn't work, and then after adding it through Steam, like launching it through Steam and playing it through there, it worked just as it is intended to. Obviously, on a lot of games, you're still going to get that issue where it doesn't show you the right button prompts. Some games have native support, some don't, so that's like Rocket League does, so it just shows the PlayStation control scheme.
I know Final Fantasy 15 does as well.
Yeah, I haven't tried Horizon. That's actually one I want to check out because that one was a PlayStation exclusive. I'm curious to know if that's still in there or not. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's still pricey for what's there. But I will say I think it feels super premium and like it does. I've heard the battery life is still the worst part of it. It's like maybe 12 hours or maybe a little more than that, which isn't great if you're doing wireless. But I don't do that, so it doesn't matter to me. But I can't say more nice things about it. Like it feels really great. Like I think nice. Like I said, I think that is their crowning achievement with this system so far is I want to see I do want to see that become a standard because it does seem like cool technology. I just don't know like when I will get a PlayStation 5. And I think a lot of people don't know. I don't think anybody knows when they're going to get one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, that seems like a big innovation for this generation.
I will say, having now used that, I'm more inclined to get one. I've like been looking a little bit more now that I have used this. I'm like, oh, okay. The thing, honestly, the biggest holdback is $70 games. Like that's pretty insane. Yeah. Like I'm still like, I know it's only $10, but it's still a lot.
See,
like it's still a lot.
And that was the thing. When I got the PS4 Pro when God of War came out, like it was so late into the life cycle of the PlayStation 4 that the really good games I was able to get for pretty fucking cheap. Like I was able to I was able to walk out pretty high and mighty with that console with a few like very affordable games. Like I picked up Resident Evil 7 for like $15 at GameStop. Like wasn't that bad. So and that's the other thing is like, do I wait? Because of the two consoles, because I'm already in the Game Pass service and everything, like Xbox is the one I'm leaning toward because there's still going to be console exclusive Game Pass games. There's going to be a few console exclusive, possibly. They haven't left that off the table. They have been releasing simultaneously PC and Xbox games, but I don't know. It just feels like a good fit for the ecosystem I'm already in, right? So,
see, I have the adverse because I already have a PC that does all that. It seems unnecessary to have an Xbox. I get where you're coming from, but
yeah. I mean, I like the legacy of like Xbox. Like the only Fable game you can get on PC is the first one. Like there's still a few like Xbox 360 exclusive titles. Like the Rare Replay's not on PC. There's a few examples of that. The other thing that's cool is that like I like a lot of game preservation stuff, and I like that the Xbox Series X does the HDR and like 4K kind of upscaling for the classic titles.
Sure, yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff's real cool sounding. So, but yeah, the controller stuff with the PlayStation 5 and Demon Souls, those are the two things that have really like piqued my interest.
Mine is whatever that parkour racing game is. I really want to play that. I can't remember the name of it, but the one they showed that I guess got delayed because it was supposed to be a launch title. But whatever that game is, that game looks fun as shit to me. That looks like it checks every box of something stupid I want to play. Yeah. And Ratchet and Clank. I'm also a huge fan of Ratchet and Clank, so I'd really like to play that when that happens. But yeah, it's a bit of a waiting game at this point. Because especially since scalpers have bought all the stock and have 5 times as many as they need at the moment, it's going to be a bit of a wait. They did say they would have more out before the end of the year. I think there's some restocking probably tomorrow or whenever Black Friday happens. But they said they would have more out around before the end of the year. They said they're working to produce more. I guess one other thing I found. And I think they were talking about on Giant Bomb, but with the cloud saving on the PlayStation is a bit weird. They're saying that like for Spider-Man specifically, you can't just go into the cloud to get your save. You have to download Spider-Man for PS4 onto the PS5 and then transfer that save over to the PS5 version with Miles Morales.
Yeah,
and then
seems very odd.
It's absolutely asinine. I mean, one, because that console already has a pretty limited drive. Although it turns out the Series X has about the same drive. Like it's not, it's still like in the 800 range. But I think that's because of their OS, whereas this one, as far as I understand, is 825 before the OS or something like that. So the memory side of stuff is still bad, and then because of that, having to re-download stuff is also pretty ridiculous. I don't know the speeds of the downloads on that. I know the PS4 ones were not great. I would hope that these ones are better. But
I heard there was a pretty decent improvement with 5.
I mean, any improvement
that I've been reading,
because it was pretty shit across the board. It was kind of Switch levels of download speeds. At least on Switch, the games are only 10 gigs as opposed to like fucking 200 or whatever. So yeah, but yeah, that's it for that. I guess it's a really quality controller, and I think even if you just have a PC and you're looking to, mine was sort of like it's gonna be a while before I get one of these, and this at least feels like I'm playing something new, even though I'm totally not. It at least gives a new way to sort of interact with it, and I think it's a great controller. Really, can't speak highly enough of it. I think it feels really good. But yeah, I guess I will talk about Hyrule because that's the only real game, and I can kind of talk about Zelda rolled into it a little bit and some Switch performance stuff. So I played I guess 13 or so hours of this before I ended up trading it in. I don't know, man. Like it is definitely a Dynasty Warriors game for sure. And it doesn't, and that's not necessarily bad if you like those kind of things, but I think the fanfare side of it with Zelda is not like really there because it, like the first one was really a celebration of Zelda as a whole, where this is just focused on that game, on Breath of the Wild and the lore behind it and those characters and stuff. And I think that's kind of a detriment to the game itself because the story I started skipping at a point because it just wasn't really like engaging me in any capacity. Like it was this weird thing too where like you're going to these villages, like the first 4, like where the demo ends and you have the first 4 villages, right, that you're going to, which is basically where you unlock your first 4 other characters. Like you get your Goron, Mipha or Meph or whatever her name is from the Zora Kingdom, and then you get one of the birds from the Bird Village, and then you get who is the other one? Oh, what? I was yeah. It was like, the lady from the desert, the
The Gerudo.
Gerudo
I forget
lady.
her
Yeah,
name.
she was really cool. She has like a different mechanic than the other ones.
Urbosa or something like that.
Urbosa, that's it. Yeah.
Urbosa,
And so, they're like apparently there's like 15 or so more characters in the game, or 15 in total, or something like that. Like, there's quite a few of them. But no, honestly, none of them really feel that great to me. Like and I think the other big problem is like you're upgrading the level and like the weapons for the other characters, but that's it. Whereas Link can use like a spear and a single-handed weapon and like a axe or something like that. And then you also find like armor pieces from the game, so you can change those out, but those are purely cosmetic. They don't do anything else to you. So like your progression with all the other characters is just their level and then their weapon level. And then you can also just spend money to like train them and level them up, so you don't even necessarily have to play as them. And then you can just most missions will give you weapons for everybody to some extent. Not always everyone, but most people will get them, and then you can kind of feed those to other weapons and level those up on their own or whatever. I would say it was like very rare that I felt like more powerful than any other character. Like Link was like, I was like level 30 something with Link, and I was doing missions that were for like 13 or 14 or whatever. And I never felt like they felt all like scaled to me no matter what. And your other characters don't really do anything. Like the amount of times you're attacking right there, and then you can see even your character there attacked like once so far, and there's their second, third attack, and then you're still attacking, but they just kind of stand there and don't do shit. So it's like you can send them all over the map, but it's really only so that you can teleport to them and switch to them to continue the objective, because they're not really doing anything otherwise. Like they're kind of very lightly attacking something. And so they get like a little experience during the thing, but like if you don't play as them continually through the mission, they get like way less experience, so they're not really leveling up either. So they're just sort of with you if you happen to need them, or if you want to switch between them or whatever. The maps are also kind of frustrating to move around a little bit, because you don't have like any mobility. Like you can run, but you don't really have like a mount or a horse or any of that stuff, which a lot of the other Musu games do. You were saying Hyrule Warriors, the first one didn't, so I guess maybe it's more in line with that. And then I just got the Master Sword, I guess, when I had stopped playing, and then I unlocked one of the guys from the Korok village, the you know, the guy that you give the Korok seeds to, that like enhances you, that has the maracas.
Yeah.
So he's a playable character, but he just like summons Koroks, and then his attacks are just shaking the thing, and then like a circle in front of you will happen, so you'll just sort of do damage as you kind of stand. Like it's just kind of dull, I guess. And that sort of seems to be a lot of them. Like the implementation of the Sheikah stuff is really cool, and then the fact that like some characters have different mechanics. Like Urbosa, you'll have like a lightning thing that you'll charge up as you attack, and then Zelda, all of her stuff is based around the Sheikah stuff, so you'll do some more interesting combos with her. And everybody has like a somewhat different bomb attack or a freeze attack or whatever, and then you can use magic wands and stuff. And there's like a good variety kind of in the things that you're doing with like the combat, but at the end of the day, you're mostly just pressing one button over and over again, sometimes hitting the other one. And then you have a lot of these, which are like, I found that the side mission stuff was more fun because there was like a very clear, quick objective. It's like, hey, kill 3 of these things in here, move to this one, do this, and you have like a time limit of like 5 minutes or whatever. And those ended up being like more enjoyable for whatever reason, because there was just like a very I guess quick in and out, because the levels are like not that exciting. Like there's stuff like you can kind of explore, but it's mostly just like, hey, find a Korok thing. There's like 1 or 2 maybe on a level. And then you just kind of move on, and then you break a box and get a weapon or something, but you can't really use it until you're out of there anyway, or you probably wouldn't want to till it's leveled up as it is, because everything you find is generally going to be less than what you already have. And then the side mission stuff outside of that just all boils down to like, did you find a certain amount of items, give it to this guy, and then he'll unlock like the thing that you can dye Link's armor color with, or the training thing to where you can to pay rupees to enhance them, or the blacksmith or whatever, or a store to just buy ingredients to then give to somebody else to then increase the thing. So the side missions are barely side missions, really. It's more of just like, hey, did you happen to have enough of this item? You can give it to him, whatever. And then the other ones are all the skill-based things. Yeah. So, and again, like I would say like it's satisfying with the flurry attacks and things like he was just doing there. Like those feel nice when you get them. But I've also found, because of the performance issues with the game, the dodge mechanic stuff doesn't always really hit right. Like you feel definitely like you dodged the attack, but because the frame rate is kind of chugging, it doesn't really count it. And that causes a lot of issues. I mean, a lot of the issue really with this game is tied to the performance of it, I think, in general. And just the general vibe of it. Like there's not, like I said, it is very much inspired by Breath of the Wild, but the whole time I was like, man, I should just go play more of regular Breath of the Wild. This is kind of like I've already finished that game, but I still feel more enjoyment out of that. This sort of feels like you're teasing me to play that game instead. Like if you could have somehow rolled this into that game, like that would be rad. Like if you could have been like, hey, here's DLC for $30. Here's the prequel story and all this. Like I totally get why they made it another game, but like fundamentally it's just not that different. And yeah, the frame rate especially, like I'm talking like sometimes single digits, sometimes like a full frozen screen for a second or two, and then it'll hit back, like especially with explosions. Sometimes they'll have when you're in the Zora Kingdom, especially, it's like a lot of water, and then it starts raining, and you're like, my God, why the fuck would you do this? And then, like, because you're running around and stuff, it's like you don't really need all the grass and shit that's all over the ground either, so that also hinders the frame rate a bit. And then, like, it's to be expected with the way the game is, but there's a ton of enemies popping in at times, and almost by design. Oh, and that's what I was going to say with the narrative. Is it like, so you're going to these different kingdoms to, like, help them, but once you've like at first they're like hesitant towards you, I guess, a little bit, some of them anyway, and then you find their leader and talk to them and help it, and then the leader joins you. But then you'll go to other like smaller missions in there where you're fighting like trainees of whatever, so it's like you're just slaughtering Gorons or whatever over and over again, and you're like, I'm helping them. I thought, why am I beating the shit out of them as a training mission when there's clearly other stuff going on? And, like, I get that they're using it to diversify the enemy layout, because it's, like, primarily the enemies from the game. I mean, 100%. Like, eventually you fight the like, Bolokins or whatever these are called, and then you get the skeleton ones, and then it's like, the same thing. So I think they're doing that just to divvy up the enemy type, so you're not only fighting these primarily over and over again. But it narratively doesn't make a ton of sense, and then also you're, like... you don't really notice, because like they don't really do damage to you most of the time. Like the only time that you really have any threat to you is like when you fight the Hinox or the Lynx or whatever, when they have those big things. And there are a few like boss fights. Like I fought that sand creature that's in the dunes, which was kind of cool. But those are like pretty far between each other, so it's like a lot of this in between work before you get back to like, oh, that was cool. And then the Guardian stuff is like super boring. Like it's like you have like 2 to 3 attacks, and then you're just on like a straight line through, like it's like on rails basically, and you're just shooting like herds of stuff, and then the frame rate really takes a shit, because you're like a giant creature, and then like each of those missions you're supposed to kill like 5,000 creatures, so they're all like in these small groups on the ground. And there's more like those. Actually, what is the other thing is you feel weaker as the Guardian than you do as a person. Like, because there's like all these enemies shooting like a lot of lob stuff at you that you can't really counteract. That's like the only mission I've failed or died in was one of those, just because I didn't have like my elite beam laser thing up yet, and then I just got bombarded with a bunch of things. So yeah, and they're just really boring. It's like basically like you have your main laser attack, they all kind of do. The flying one was like more the wind temple, the flying beast was like more open ended because it was just a circle arena that you could fly around like a couple different times and sort of guide yourself a little bit. I think like if like again, and price is always the issue with this stuff, but I think if this was like a $30 game, I would have probably held on to it, and I think it would have been worth that much. It's $60. Yeah. It's not that there's not $60 worth of content there. I just don't think there's $60 worth of like enjoyable content there. Like it's kind of very much the same thing over and over again. And again, I think the fanfare is not here either. Like, and that's kind of a big thing as well.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the first game. Like I like Hyrule Warriors quite a bit, but it also felt like a really weird, just like story didn't matter. Here's just a big celebration, some original characters, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that was my worry going into this, is that just like they did not have enough in Breath of the Wild to really like diversify the audience that you're playing, or the cast that you're playing of characters.
Well, I don't think there's enough Breath of the Wild here to that one you didn't already do in Breath of the Wild better. And there's not like, the diversity in characters isn't really there, because I was looking at the other characters you unlock, and it's another like Goron, it's another Zora, and then there's like the King is one, and then, which I guess spoilers on that. I'm sorry, I just said that without that, but there's like, I mean, I don't know if that's a big thing or not, but there's like, because I think you unlock them all throughout the story or whatever, but I can't imagine any, like the coolest one. There was one of the ladies from, I don't know why I can't think of their names. What is the female tribe again?
Oh, the Sheikah tribe.
Sheikah tribe. The one that Urbosa's from or whatever. The lady that teaches you to ride sand seals is a character, and one of her seals is a thing.
Oh, you're talking about the desert. I forget what they call themselves, but yeah.
Is it Garudans or something? I don't know.
It's Gerudo, but
yeah. Either way, that lady seems rad because she was cool in there, and that seems like a cool character. But I don't know when you unlock her or whatever, because I just kind of looked through the list of like how many characters are actually in this game, because it felt like there was only like the 6. I was like, oh, is it just these guys? Because that's the other thing too, is like the main guy that like the bird that does like the bow and arrow stuff. He sucks. Like he's really boring. Like it's like, you don't get, like, all of your moves feel it's just like a lot of shooting, like 1 arrow, then 2, then 3, then 4 or whatever, and then you can do like a bomb arrow or something, but like it doesn't feel very fluid. And then his like alternate thing, like her alternate is she summons these, and you can do like this other combo. You like lay down a thing, and then you absorb it as an attack, and then that'll summon these sets or whatever. So she's like kind of complex. His is like do all that stuff on the ground, or hit R1, and then you can fly into the air and do all those same attacks. But they're like, the air is not like, you can't really fly over any of the environment or terrain or anything. You're still in the same pathway you were before. So it's like he's just like really awkward and not that fun to play.
Yeah.
And then the Zora is like, she's kind of fun, but the other thing too is like hers is weird because like she sprints, but she sprints like she's swimming through water, even though she's just on land. So that feels, again, kind of weird. Like that's a minor critique, but it is just an odd, I don't know. It just seems weird. Like it's just weird. Like it's a weird thing and seems kind of counterintuitive. And yeah, it's that same thing. It's just like I don't have I don't recognize this character at all. Maybe she was in the game and I just don't remember seeing her in Breath of the Wild because I'd finished that, but I don't remember her at all.
She's Impa. She like 100 years later. She's the old shrill woman.
Oh, the one in the tower that like.
No, in Kakariko Village, the one that like tells you to go get all the memories and stuff. She's the old lady with the.
Oh, see, and I only found like 2 of those because I didn't really go searching those. Maybe that's why. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but her character was fun. It took me a little bit to get used to that one, and then the like Urbosa was really fun, and then the Goron guy was pretty decent. Because he did like a bunch of moves, and then he would summon lava that you would then like clench your fist and it would blow up or whatever, and that was kind of fun. So there's like fun in here, but the performance stuff is a huge issue. And I think that the fanfare, even if you liked Breath of the Wild a shit ton, like you might still find it here, but it just makes you want a second Breath of the Wild instead of like this game, I guess. Like I think they would have done better to do another Hyrule Warriors by like bringing back all those characters in the first game and then adding like the Link from Link's Awakening and then, a handful of characters from this game and, some other stuff. I think would have made that another cool package instead of what is on offer here. And there's also not that, like, because that other one had like that weird dungeon crawling mode, right? That was kind of like a board you were filling out.
It's like a big adventure map thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not in here either, as far as I can tell. It's just like this one map, and then once you finish it, you get other missions that come out after that. So yeah, like on sale, I think it would be great. I don't think it's near as good as the first one, and it's kind of a letdown. And I think some of this too is like a bit biased because I'm just really waiting for Cyberpunk, so nothing's really grabbing me the way I want it to right now. Yeah. And this especially wasn't doing it because I realized what I was doing is I was just sitting here and mostly just watching something and realizing I'm just pressing the same button and very much not even paying attention. Then I was like, I should just take this back. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not playing this game really. It's just sort of happening to me. And it doesn't feel very difficult or anything of that nature. So
I don't know. I was like, I'm pretty keen on that first game. I still pick it up and play it every once in a while, and getting through the story on that. I mean, none of the story stuff in that first one is really gripping or anything, but I just think it's like a good shut your brain off and play a game kind of game.
Yeah, and I think this one's fine for it. I think if you didn't play that one though, like I was tempted to go like, well, if I have eShop credit now, I might as well just get this. Like I would rather play that first one, I think, having not really played it.
And the first one, like, it looks the way it looks or whatever, but, like, the performance of that first one was pretty good for what it was on the Switch. Like,
yeah, I heard it had some issues with, like, the undocked, because it was, like, still running at 1080p or something, undocked, which was not...
Well, undocked is one thing, but, like, I mostly play docked these days.
Sure.
And, like, it ran the first one ran pretty damn good. So it's, like, really upsetting to hear that this one's, like, the one that people are really upset about.
I mean, maybe they could patch it at some point, too, but it's, like, pretty jarring out of the gate, like, that they would let it out like this. Because it's like I said, it's pretty abysmal at times. Like, it was surprisingly bad. Like, I thought it was, like... Some slowdown is like I'm fine with it or whatever, but when it started getting down to like I said, like frozen frames completely, and then like down in the single digit teen area, I'm like, this is pretty unacceptable. Like I don't know why. And the other thing too is like, oh man, the Switch must be on fire. Then I put my hand over it and it's like still ice cold. I'm like, so are you guys not even utilizing it? Like what is happening here? Like it's not heating up at all. So I'm like, I just don't understand what's happening. Like, not that heat dictates performance, but in a lot of times with computer stuff, it generally does. It means it's usually working pretty hard. It's got to, utilize itself or whatever. But yeah, it was like not do it. I don't know. I don't know. It's really, it's super weird. I just don't know what the hang up is. But yeah, outside of that, like the structure is just kind of dull. Like I could easily play more of it, but it didn't feel like, I was ever going to actually finish it, and like I said, I would probably rather pick up the first one if I was gonna. I honestly wish I would have just bought the first one and not bought this one, to be completely honest.
Yeah, first one's fun. It's a good little celebration of Zelda. That's what I like about it.
And then with that, I'll just quickly say I played through Link's Awakening, and that was it didn't catch me at first, but after the first like 2 or 3 hours I really got into it and then ended up finishing it, and I think I don't know, maybe 8 hours or something. It was like a pretty short game.
Pretty short, yeah.
Again, I don't know, like I was telling you, I don't know how you would have played that game without any kind of guidance, because it's just like it doesn't really tell you anything, and I get the idea as adventure, but the world itself is not like super gripping, I guess, to where like like I think by nature of the game coming out so many years ago, the world is not like super filled out. Like it's very deliberate in its placement of everything, but like there's not like you're not really seeing a whole lot. I will say the most interesting thing about that is just like the amount of wild creatures in that game. Like there's like talking dinosaurs and like rabbit people and like all this crazy shit that is not in Zelda anymore at all. Was really interesting because it was just like it seemed like they were just throwing shit at the wall and like yeah that's a character, sure, and then there's like everything kind of looks like a Mario brother and there's weird witch stuff and then the pig people everywhere, and it was just I don't know, it was really neat to see. And like the aesthetic of that game is fantastic. It's just another one that, you know, underperforms, I think, on the Switch for some reason. I don't quite know what the performance issues is with that one.
You said you beat it, right?
Yeah, I finished it, yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess spoilers for a almost 20-something-year-old game, but, like, the thing that I gleamed from it was essentially that, like, all the animal characters and the weird stuff that's happening in the game is because you're essentially in a dream. Like,
yeah,
that's just like how the game is. So a lot of weird things happen that like don't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
While you're playing the game,
makes sense.
It almost has like a fantastical, like dream-like quality to it.
Yeah. I think that's accurate. Yeah, I mean that seems like what's going on. I mean the game culminates and you go into a giant egg, which turns into a mystical fish that you have to like. Based on whatever game you have a different maze layout to then get through this fish insides or the egg insides to then play 8 instruments to get a fish to wake up to then take you cosmically elsewhere. So yeah, I could see that it's maybe not based in reality. But I mean, again, it's like... But yeah, that's okay. That's what I was saying is like just the fact that maybe that does make sense because it is a dream. Because again, I don't know how you would know exactly where you're going without some kind of guidance. Because there's like one time I gave like a banana to a monkey that I'd already traded like 9 other items to get this banana. And I gave it to a monkey who then drops like a fish hook, but he built a bridge for me. And then I go to this dungeon, and once I finish the dungeon, then I come out of that. But now I'm haunted by a ghost, and I have to take this ghost to its old house, and then I have to actually take it to its grave, and then once I take it to its grave, he'll give me some like, I don't know, like embalming cream or some shit that then I take to this guy fishing under a bridge that you can't see, and then I give him the hook, and then he gives me this that I give to this guy, and like, but none of that is like necessarily represented. Like you wouldn't exactly have an idea that you need these items to then continue the thing. And it's just, it's like it's super rad. Don't get me wrong. Like it's super cool. Like I'm definitely not against the game itself by any means.
I also do like that. Like the dog in the character's like a chain chomp, and also you do fight like weird looking Goombas and stuff like that in the dungeons.
Well Kirby's like in there at a point. You fight like Kirby's, and then all the guys. There's like a mushroom dealer that looks like Mario, and then there like a lot of the people characters look kind of like Mario with these big red noses and mustaches, and then
there's the what's the other one that I like? What's I getting at? Shit. There's another reference in there. Oh, the Yoshi doll is one of the first items you get in the trading quest, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cute.
Give it for a bow to get a hibiscus to do this thing. But then there's also like telephones in the game, so you can just call your grandpa at any point and he'll give you like a hint, kind of, and then which I don't even know if that was in the game originally. I can't remember.
I think so.
See, then that even further solidifies the dreamlike thing, because I didn't imagine Hyrule having phones in it at all, or crane games for that matter, for it being a medieval village.
I actually like the crane game in that remake. It's pretty fun. I actually didn't mind it.
I didn't really either. I think my only hang up with it was like if you'd knock an item thing and you're like, oh, it's finally free, and then that sliding thing would come back and just pick it back up, and you're like, son of a bitch, you're back on the deal.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat. Yeah, like I
game.
said, I enjoyed my time with it. It was definitely one like I ended up trading it in, I think, as well, or doing something with it. I can't remember what I did with that game. I don't have it still. I think I traded it in. I can't remember. But I had finished it because I had found it on sale for, I don't know, like $30 or something. So I traded it back in. But yeah, I wanted to, because that's like the longest, that's like the Switch game like first party I still hadn't played. That and like Yoshi's Yarn World or whatever, Woolly World.
Yeah.
But anywho, that's it. Hyrule Warriors, I'd say it's a pass for now. It'll never go on sale because it's a Nintendo game, but if it ever does, maybe that's the time to get it. So.
Yeah, or play that first one. If you're a fan of Zelda, play that first.
Wait for the Switch Pro that's supposedly happening, and then play it then. Which, that's the other rumor thing, is they're speculating that it might coincide with Breath of the Wild 2 launch, because they have launched all of the Switches with a Zelda title so far. Because the Lite came with Link's Awakening, and then Breath of the Wild came with the first one. So they're speculating that the second one will be next year with a new console, which it's time. It was time, honestly, when it came out, but now it's like really showing its age. So it's very much time now. So
it's about damn time.
Yeah, take one.
Yeah. I guess the only thing I have, like, I played some Hades. I'm still trying to get through that game before the end of the year, before we talk about our games of the year, because I love everything about that game. The writing, the aesthetics, the characters, the combat. Everything of that game is really good. I just find I have really shit luck in my runs. Like, I don't know. I just don't ever feel like I'm hitting a point where I'm noticing the power behind the boons that I'm getting. It might just be by virtue of me picking the wrong things or not, like, upgrading them enough. Because I know that you have to break off on certain paths to get, like, the upgrade material to be able to upgrade the boons that you already have.
Well, there's a lady that you talk to. She's like a songstress, and she'll give you the option. Of like doing that.
Well, her thing is that, like, you will find boons of increased rarity, but you can level each of those boons. And so, like, the level 1 is like, oh, you do 80% crit damage.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying with her. She has, like, one option that will give everyone, like 4 random boons you have plus 1, or she'll upgrade 2 of them to a new rarity, or she'll make sure the next 2 you find are rare or better. And so that's like her specific thing. And then there's also, if you've filled out, I don't know how far down on your mirror that you are, but the mirror also has a thing that you can spend gems on that will increase the rarity. Because I think I have it up to 45% now, and it's still not filled out to where it's like you have a 45% chance to find rare or better items. So eventually those get beefier through that. Also, boons will replace other boons, which usually it tells you, but that's something to look out for as well. Because sometimes you'll go, oh, this one looks better, but it'll replace one that you already have that may be integral to the thing. But I'm not saying that's what's happening, but
yeah, I don't know. I gotta get, I guess, as the kids say, I gotta get good at that game. But it's like taking everything in me not to just turn on the God mode, because I really just want to see the story through. Because I think that, like, aside from the combat and everything, I think that that's where that game really shines. And I'm glad that option's there. Like, there's a lot of talk lately about, like, Demon Souls came out, and allegedly, like, in development, when Blue Point was making it, they were going to do, like, an easy mode in the game. And, like, there's a lot of people, like, for accessibility reasons, or just, like their inability to get good, that they want, like, those games to be more accessible, which I agree with to a point. But I do think that, like, difficult games should be able to release as like a difficult challenge for people who want that. But I'm glad that exists in Hades for people who aren't hardcore and, like, who like the Supergiant games, because this is probably the hardest of all those games, easily, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
Up to a point, so I'm glad that's there for people who want to get through the story and just see that through, that you can just flip on essentially a God mode and just blitz right through it.
Yeah.
And
I will say too, I'd say the mirror is probably the biggest thing to work on. It is like one of one of the only places you can really spin the gems that you find. But it is like, because there is a point you can get like 4 lives basically in there. So you can, when you die, you'll automatically resurrect like up to 4 times. So that helps runs pretty drastically just in case something's happening. And then, like I was saying too, with the boon thing on the weapons where you can upgrade those, because that's something I didn't even know was in there. So that was like a hidden thing to kind of look out for, because that'll adjust the weapon a bit. And especially if you play the shield, that bull rush block thing will block most everything. So that's like another one to kind of like, it's hard to utilize that because it's like a hold, which you're always attacking so quickly and moving around that you feel like you shouldn't be doing that. But with that weapon specifically, blocking is like, will make your runs exponentially better. And then, like I said, if you haven't tried the fist weapons yet, those motherfuckers will hurt a bitch.
I mean, I do see like the game giving me more options and like making me better at it, because like the Megara fight, like that's nothing now. Like I can blitz through her like no problem. And I do normally use the shield. So when she starts like shooting, like does kind of the bullet hell move and all that stuff's like swirling around the map, I just hold shield and I like get through all that.
Yeah.
So I do feel like the game is pushing me into getting better at it. I just I want to understand the systems a little better. And I know that like there's some loose build guides out there, but due to the random nature of the game, it's like you can't necessarily rely on a build guide.
Well,
but they are
that's sort of where the potions come into play a little bit, or the ambrosias, because once you when you give them to certain characters, like they'll give you gifts. Some of the gifts though are like an increased chance to get their boons. So once you find like a god you like their boons of, you can do that, and then sort of you can tweak the RNG a bit to kind of go in your favor a little bit more towards what you want. And then those build up as you do like runs with that thing equipped, so they'll get better as well. I would say those I wish you could do more than just one of, though. Like if you could equip multiple of those, that would be nice, because it's like some of those are like I I'd also say backstabbing is a way bigger part of that game than you would think it would be.
Yes,
because almost every boon is going to be like something with backstabbing damage. And because most things charge at you in some capacity, hitting them from behind is big. And then because usually, and this is not obviously the way you have to be playing it, but anything that does increased percentage to shields is huge, because it's usually always like 400 to 900% damage to shields. And those are super big, because that stuff, that'll just slow the whole run down progressively and make it way more taxing on you, having those things that have like twice as many health. So that's a big one. And then, the backstab culminated with that, because you'll do like, because now your backstab on the shield, instead of doing like 400% damage, will do like whatever its modifier is with that. So it'll be like, 1200% damage or whatever to a backstab. So you'll already do the full shield in like a hit, and then one other thing. So those are big. And yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I'm no expert at the game, because I've only finished it twice now, but I haven't played it in the last week, which I'll probably get back to it now, because I'm still pining for something, unless I pick up Godfall tonight, Christian, unless I do it. Unless I actually do it.
I'm gonna fucking do it, dude.
No, I have to wait for that sale to hit, because I have to know, because if I get it to now and then it's on sale tomorrow, I'll be pissed, because I'll be furious, because if I'm buying it through Humble, it can't be returned. So anywho, that's my own personal dilemma. But yeah, you should stick with Hades. How far have you made it in there? I guess that's my other question.
I've made it to the Colosseum bosses, where you fight the bull and
the twins,
the champion. Yeah.
That one, I'll say specifically, the one thing that made that really, there is like 2 boons I found that will help with that one. There's one, I don't know if have you gotten to the ice god yet? Has she shown up?
I haven't seen her yet. No.
Oh, that sucks. I don't know. She might come in after that. I can't remember when she shows up. But there's one that has frost powers, and her call sign or the one that you actually that's what you really want. If you can go hydro for your call sign, like your ultimate ability or whatever, that one does it makes you immune, and you do like 200 or like 2400 damage or something in a charge. So you'll just like run around and hit him once and then hit him again. That's like 4,000 damage or some shit, which is a fuck ton.
Yeah, the Poseidon one, yeah.
Poseidon, yeah. So that his call is really good on that one, or hers is like you throw down beacons that shoot like laser beams continually for like 10 seconds in whatever direction, but they'll hone in on the boss. So for that one, I was like taking out the Minotaur and then laying those on the shield guy, so he was getting knocked down at the same time as the other one, so they were both like not super far off. Or trying to utilize the damage over time stuff, because it seems really weak, but once you, especially with the shield, because you can bounce it around everybody, so you can give a dot to everybody continually, and then they'll take a lot more damage than you would think, because you can usually stack the poison thing like 5 times over, or the drunk or whatever curse. I can't think of what the name of it actually is, but
yeah.
That's another good one for those. That was honestly him and Hades were the 2 hardest ones. Those 2 and Hades were the most that gave me the most problem. Hades is just hard because he has like 3 stages or some shit.
I didn't know you fought Hades.
Yeah, you gotta fight your fucking dad, dude. He's not gonna let you out. He hates you. Yeah, that's the cool. Next 2 bits are pretty cool. I won't tell you any more of that. 'Cause I didn't know that. I guess that could kind of be a spoiler to some extent. But yeah, no, your dad fucking hates you, dude. You know he hates you. The game's named after him. Of course you fight. I
just thought he'd stay at his fucking desk. I just thought he'd just sit there the whole time.
No,
being an asshole.
Actually, kind of the cool thing is when you fight him and you go back, he's not there. He's still gone. Like he's still up wherever you beat him at. So he's like sort of like making sure you're not coming right back. In a sense, like narratively speaking, he's sort of like, is like, you're like, oh, dad's gone. He's like, yeah, I guess he hasn't came back yet. Yeah, I guess you ran into him, and you're like, yeah, I guess I did. I guess he fucked me up big time. Yeah, because he's an asshole.
That's good.
Yeah, Hades. Yeah, I hope that game gets some awards this year.
Same.
Because that game really fucking deserves it, man. That's such a good video game, and they really put a lot into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that game.
I guess just real quick, I'll talk about this for a second.
Yeah, I can't believe I just talked for 50 minutes. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, as you guys know, for the past few weeks, I have been playing nothing but Sea of Thieves, and that's still the case. But I'm trying to find some time for other stuff. Assassin's Creed, I'm on like I'm like on the 3rd province area, so not extremely far, but I'm doing a lot of the side content. Like I'm exploring the map and finding all the abilities and armors and cool stuff going on in that game. So that's still happening. But I was also able to dink around with some Stadia, and that's interesting.
Because it played Destiny 2?
Yeah, that's essentially all I've played. And that there's there's like a game engine like creator, like it's almost like Dreams in a way. It's called Crata, and that was also free to purchase on Stadia.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this. Yeah,
and that's actually, it's kind of cool. Like I could see Crata like going places if Stadia like sticks a landing with an audience. Because like some of the game creation tools in that thing seem pretty cool, and it worked surprisingly well. Like it's actually a fairly responsive system. Like, I don't think that any of this, like, I went back and watched this presentation after playing some Stadia for a little bit, and none of this seems, like, too far-fetched. Like, they really weren't giving you smoke and mirrors here. Like, when it works pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised by that. The one thing that does suck, though, is that, like, for the most part, like, because it's through a Chromecast, you basically do all of the like menu stuff and launching games basically from the phone app to whatever device you're streaming to.
Okay, yeah.
Now on the TV, when you turn on the when you turn on the TV, flip to the Chromecast input, it pops up in the top right and says pair a Stadia controller, and you hit like a button combo on the controller, and then that will pair to the device that you're wanting to use. So if you so if you go from like your living room to your bedroom and you pair to another Chromecast, you just type in a button combination and it'll switch over to that display.
Is it because I was going to ask that because when I was watching the switching just a second ago, I was like, how did he go from the laptop to that TV? Like, how did the controller know that he was doing that? And so is it, does the TV give you the prompt, or is it like a code that you have to remember? Like, what is
the TV in the top right? The TV
it'll
in the
give
top
you just
right.
a code to type in?
Yeah, it's like press B up, down, Y, X or something, and you do that, and you feel the controller vibrate, and then you're like controlling the TV. And to be honest with you, like the controller itself is actually very, very nice. Like I like the controller a lot.
I want to play with one. I want to feel that.
I think you can like break it and like, you know, use it on like a PC natively through like other apps, and I mean it's a viable controller. Like the haptics are actually pretty good on it. Mm-hmm. The other thing I will say, like their messaging is all kind of weird in this presentation. Like, they're talking like.
Before we move on, how is the D-pad on it? Because it looks like that's the weirdest bit of it.
Well, in the games I played, I haven't really had to use the D-pad much, but it does feel kind of clicky if I'm recalling right. It's over by my TV, so I don't have it right.
You don't keep it with you at all times?
I don't keep my Stadia at all times. Believe it or not. That's
crazy. Wow, man.
I mean, honestly, the thing that's just like keeping me from messing with it the most, I'll just keep this playing. I'll say this about what they're talking about here.
Yeah.
My internet here is not fantastic. It's not great. I decent apartment, but the fucking internet sucks. That's usually how it goes these days. Mm-hmm. But the latency for what it is didn't hamper it. There's like a couple of quality problems. Like, so the quality will kind of like duck in and out occasionally, but when it hits like a good full stream, like it's not too bad. Some of the coloration and stuff and like pixelation's a little bit washed out in like some places. Like when you're playing it's obvious you're watching a feed and it's not like native resolution to the screen. And I would like to try this behind like a gigabit network and see how that stuff works. Because the other neat thing about the Chromecast is that the power adapter has an Ethernet cable, and then that goes up to a micro USB on it. It goes up to micro USB on the Chromecast, so you can plug it in wired, and that's how I have it. So it's a little more stable that way, but just my upload-download here sucks. So
what for the folks, what is your internet speed, just out of curiosity, so they can...
Well, I pay for 100 megabit, but I get like 10 meg down. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible.
That's what it was when we had AT&T. It was like we paid for...
Yeah, that's what I have. I pay for 100, but I get like something fucking awful. It's so bad.
Yeah. Our only option there was like 35 up, 4 down or something like that.
Yeah.
It was miserable.
And so right here where they're talking about up to 4K 60 FPS, that hasn't been my experience, but I think with a decent internet, like you could get there. And then they're talking about like in the future you're going to be able to do like 12K and sure, whatever. But I just don't think internet infrastructure is there now, and it's going to be a long time before we get to that point.
Yeah.
The other thing that's like kind of smoke and mirrors about this is that like they were talking big game about like I want to find it where they're talking. Yeah, Stream Connect. This is one of the things that's like not actually a part of Stadia right now.
Oh yeah, where they're putting streamers in there or some shit, or you could have like an audience or something, right? It was some kind of...
So it's like you can be playing the game and then somebody like there's the asynchronous multiplayer side of it is what I think they're showing now. But there's also like you can watch videos on YouTube and like on the Stadia or on YouTube and be like jump into the game with this. That isn't in place at all.
Yeah, no way was it going to be. Also, look at the game they're showing that with. You know this game, right?
I actually don't know.
You're right. Game. No one does because it's not a real game. What is this? Like, this isn't a thing that exists. This is just this is a game that they show people in movies playing. They're like, oh yeah, he's always playing those damn video games, and it's like weird fantasy, whatever. And this is Pixel Junk Shooter. That's at least the actual game, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of looks like Pixel Junk. It might not be.
I think it is actually, but none of this is in there now. Like the only thing that they really have is the Google Assistant works, but it does just Google Assistant stuff. Like you can capture a screenshot, you can capture video.
Do you have to talk to it for it to do that?
I mean, no. There's a button on it. Like there's an actual like capture button.
Okay.
But if you hold the assistant button down, it'll let you talk to the Stadia or whatever. But it's like Google Assistants. It's like saying that and then having Google do its thing.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if it was like Connect where it was like record that or whatever, if you had to say it, or actually if you could just press a button, which is obviously the better way to do it.
Yeah. I think this is what they're... Yeah. Jump in and play, like this shit right here. Yeah, this doesn't exist. Also, like being able to... I think there's like a part in here where they're talking about like, oh, hey, I'm having issues with this part of the game, and somebody jumps in and helps you out with it.
Yeah. Well, one, you have to have people on Stadia to be doing that. That's your first issue with it. Yeah. Second is like, what streamer is going to be chewing their bandwidth with streaming in a game and then streaming out the same game and then having people, come in to then, play with them or whatever.
That's the idea behind Stadia streaming, is that you're not streaming from the gameplay from your connection.
Right.
You're streaming it from their data centers. But
is that in there? Can you like stream out from Stadia currently?
Not that I've seen or like tried to play with, but like I was looking for the other features that this thing has, and none of that stuff's there yet. The other thing that's like really weird is that there should be more integration with Google Play like games. Like I have an Android phone, and I have plenty of like console quality games on my Android phone, like GTA San Andreas and stuff like that. They should allow you to have more integration with like the console quality Google Play titles. Like allow me to stream those games as well, or at least
that seems like a pretty obvious miss. But I guess they're not either one. Well, one, they're not streaming those games on their servers being played. They're just there to be purchased. And then two, the developers, I guess, have to agree or sign up or whatever, give them money to be on Stadia in that capacity as well. Yeah. And I can't imagine they're going to do that, because if it's a phone game, you just download it. Yeah. And it's not a lot to deal with.
It's just a little like they need an avenue, because I'm looking at prices on this thing too. And there's no way I'm paying $60 for a game on this thing. There's just no fucking way.
I can't imagine anybody would. It's crazy.
Yeah. Their pro thing, like the free games that you get with your membership, it's like I could play all those games somewhere else.
Was it like Far Cry 3 and
I could pull up a list of them actually. Stadia pro games. We could look through this list together just real quick.
I would, I'd be curious, because I've never really looked at much of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it looks like.
Destiny 2.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. This is in browser. Like, I can play everything right here in Stadia. This is the Immortals Phoenix Rising demo, and there's Creata that I played a little bit of.
Can you play that demo currently? Is that still up?
Yeah, that's still up. Like, I can launch this right now.
Then. Yeah.
Like it's... If you have decent internet, like it's pretty impressive.
I do. I mean, I have like, we have like 500 gig.
Yeah.
500 megabytes.
I think it's a pretty impressive thing. Like, I do have $10 off a game, so I might buy like something cheap. But like, you look at the prices here, man, and it's like Valhalla $60, Watch Dogs Legion knocked down $10, but
but you can get that for $30 on Xbox already now. The new Xbox, same with PlayStation. Legion's already down to like half.
Like, if you pre-order Cyberpunk on Stadia,
the first Hitman is $20.
Yeah,
or you could get it for that.
And so, like, these are deals.
God, Wildlands is still like $100 or whatever they're trying to say here.
Yeah, that's
fucking
like the
pricing.
Crazy. The pricing on this stuff just is the part that just does not make any sense to me.
No, it does not.
And then Pro free. It's cool that Risk of Rain 2's free on Stadia. That's actually pretty neat. The first season.
But that's it though. That's
Hitman
only
game.
the 6 games right there.
No, see all Stadia Pro games. Let's look. So yeah.
Wait, it says claim
Hello
new
Neighbor.
games every month. So does that mean there's like some mechanic where you have to like go in and actually tie them to your account?
Let's see. There might be something on there. Play free games in. Nope. Free games in.
Well, no, but see right there,
instantly.
claim new games, new pro games for your collection every month. So does that mean those are the ones that are listed right there? Those 6? Do you have to like say?
I think those are what you can claim. Like, I don't think there's a limit. Like, I think you can just go in and claim anything that's free.
So that's really weird wording, though.
Yeah, it is weird.
I don't know what claim it means if you're just getting it with your pro membership anyway.
It's probably like the games for Windows, or not games for Windows, but the games for gold stuff. But they probably just have the ability to give you more options there. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean, some of these games on here are impressive. Like, I'm not lying. Like, some of them seem cool, but at the same time, it's like.
Well, yeah, but the other thing is too is like if these are all multiplayer games and they're just tied to only people on Stadia, that sucks. Because I mean you look at VR and VR already struggles in multiplayer games with player counts, and VR is widely more accepted than Stadia is. So I can't imagine.
This might be where my $10 goes.
I almost would be willing to bet they won't give you $10 off a $10 game though.
They might.
They might try
Possibly.
right now. Put your credit card in. Pull the screen down, dude. I'm curious. No, I'm just, you don't have to do that. I'm just saying that to me it seems like you wouldn't be able to, but I don't know.
I mean, and you look at the list, and these are pretty impressive games, but at the same time, these are everywhere else, and you can play them at a better capacity if you're able to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who is out there with bad internet or with good internet and a bad computer. Like, there's probably people out there, and so like if you're tipping your toes into like gaming and you want to see what the Stadia stuff's about, maybe that's who I'd recommend it to. I think the tech's impressive. If there was a better avenue here, like I think the thing about the Amazon option, the Luna, is that thing's gonna like have like actual channels tied to like publishers, so when you're paying for that thing, like it's like, oh, I can go play these like up and coming games from these other publishers.
I mean, again, it is. Excuse me. It is the. It's the buying a full price game that you'd have like I don't know. It's just there is like. And maybe it's just like an old way of thinking, but it's just that idea of like it not being anywhere near your control or whatever. Like just you feel like you're just giving money to the wind.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like I don't know. There's something that seems very like non tangible about this service, and I think it's that also shaken faith with. Google, whereas like, hey, if this doesn't work out, it's probably going away. Like, and then what do you do? Because that doesn't mean they're going to keep their servers on for any long term. So,
yeah, who knows? I got it for free, so disclosure there, I guess. I didn't pay for the whole thing. I probably would have never paid for Stadia, but that promotion's long gone. And I mean, it's cool. I got it. Like, they weren't lying.
Like I said, I just want the controller. I would like to see what that is.
Yeah, it's a decent controller for what it is, and I don't know.
Well, would you look at that? I got the name Birthday on Stadia.
Nice.
Yeah. I just want to try that Phoenix Rising demo and just see what that looks like.
Yeah, just try it out. See what you think. But that's it. That's really all I got this week, boys.
Yeah, somehow with only one game on each of our lists, we still manage an hour and 10 minutes.
That's right.
That's powerful.
Well, this is gonna go quick too. I like kind of combed through this list a little earlier, and I didn't see way too much on this day in gaming for the last several decades.
Yeah, sorry. Let me click through this really fast.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, let me know what you think of the demo on Stadia. I think you'll walk away like impressed with how it works. I don't think you'll walk away very impressed with that video game, but like
I
that's a different story,
can't
guess.
imagine that I would.
Yeah.
Oh, you get 1 month of Stadia Pro? Okay, yeah, I can start that trial. I'll start that trial right now.
Yeah, try it out.
Try it out. Like, you want to try it out?
Give it a shot. I already did a Stadia Pro trial like last month.
Yeah.
Or I did the trial way before I got the Stadia, which I think was a mistake. But I didn't foresee getting one for free coming.
Well,
so.
why would you have thought that you would?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why would you have thought that that would happen?
All right.
Yeah, let me see. Let me look at these games now.
Disney's
Card Wars, I've
Aladdin,
heard
that's
is
a
really
good
good. I've
game.
never played that game. Disney's Aladdin, pretty good.
Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was a classic. Area 51. Oh shit! Croc, the Legend of the Gobos, dude. Or the Gobos.
I just remember Area 51 in the arcade. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the only one that matters. That the PlayStation is a port, I believe, of the arcade version that you just play with a controller, which is not the way to play that game.
This game was so bad though. Like
Excuse yourself, dude. Why don't you just excuse yourself, dude?
I feel like I don't have to.
Hey, buddy, won't you step back from that ledge, my friend? Okay.
It's, I do not have fond memories of that game. Croc, Legend of the Gobos. I never played the Croc games, but I heard they were okay. I remember my one of my dad's friends had Croc on the Saturn. I think it was like Croc 1 or 2.
I had both of those on the original PlayStation. They're pretty okay. They're kind of like a Mario. They're trying to take a shot at Mario money.
Yeah.
As a little crocodile with a backpack. But they're okay. That first one's okay. They have tank control, so for a platformer they kind of control like shit. But Margaret is losing. Okay, I guess I maybe need to exit out of Steam first to try this.
Like I said, I did not see very many good games on this list at all this week.
Yeah. Well, I don't. What was Sonic? Oh, Sonic Dash. That's like.
It's that endless runner.
Yeah. Monster Jam Steel Titans. Excuse you, dude. You're not paying attention.
Oh, how could I forget? How could I forget? Monster Jam Steel Titans. I don't even know what this is. I want to pull up a trailer. See what this is all about. Monster Jam. Brave. Oh, he's actually there, dude. It's like a dog. Thrilling obstacles. All right, I changed my mind.
Wow.
This is a good game.
You know what?
I changed my mind already.
Oh shit, dude! Yeah, this looks rad. Look
absolutely sick, right?
Yeah, yeah, dude. I need to go to the doctor. Look at this,
dude. It's got new challenges.
That's the Earthshaker. Damn, look at all that shit on the screen.
There's so much happening.
There's so much stuff in there. You can expand your career as Master Chief in the Warthog, I guess. What he's driving. What?
Wow.
To be completely honest with you, though, if somebody were to give me this game, I would totally play this game. it looks ridiculous, but I would 100% play this game.
Yeah, it looks better than Big Rigs.
It's on Steam. Hold on. Wait a tick. Wait a second now. Hold on now. Wait a second now. Hold on.
I wonder what the Monster Jam.
I will say you might be surprised to find Stadia does not have PS5 controller support currently, so suck a D.
Well, okay, it's got mostly positive. Okay.
Monsters of Steel. What is the name of this game again?
Monster Jam Steel Titans.
Yeah, dude, it's only $9.89. It's actually currently 70% off, basically.
Yeah. Well,
you know what, dog? I might be monster trucking tonight. Maybe fuck Stadia, dude. Maybe monster trucks is the way to go. Maybe I don't care about Stadia, actually. Maybe I just signed up for an email. Hopefully I won't forget about so that I can actually not get charged for Stadia.
Well, that is all I have for games.
Dude, my God.
I'm all gamed out, dude.
Sorry, I just almost shit a brick. Because I saw my first email. It says, Stadia thanks you. Thank you. You made a purchase on Stadia. And I was like, I fucking what? And then I looked and it was like Stadia Pro for free for a month. I was like, that's what I thought. You better not. You better not start this now.
Better not be dicking me around, Google.
You better be damn right you didn't get nothing from you, cucks.
That's right.
Well, cool. Yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. What does next week look like? What is that? That will be. Damn, we'll still be. Well, hey, at least Wednesday the 9th is when we maybe get Cyberpunk. Because
yes.
Some things are saying that we may get that on the 9th for the PC version that night.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm getting it on Stadia, so whenever that's available.
So you're not going to be playing Cyberpunk? Okay, well, I guess I'll talk about it maybe that Thursday.
No, I have it pre-ordered no, I don't have it pre-ordered just yet. I had it in my cart and then I thought about it. I'm gonna buy it this next pay period, as they say.
Yeah. Well, now that GameStop so graciously gave me my money back in Steam gift cards, I'll be pre-ordering that probably tonight or tomorrow, I guess. Now that I know it's gonna be here in a few days, I'm like more inclined to be like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to pull the trigger too early.
No. Well, and especially because, well, now I only want to do it early because I just want to know when the preload goes up so I can try and combat that tomfuckery.
And like they kind of eased my worry because like this last couple weeks they've been releasing new gameplay content and trailers, and every single one of them has December 10th
Somebody
on
streamed it on Twitch for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then what's funny is that next day they uploaded footage, like they did a whole gameplay presentation of playing on console.
Yeah,
because the person who streamed it from a PS4. So it almost feels like they haphazardly threw something together to be like, oh, okay, you saw that guy streaming it. Well, here's us showing you the console stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty weird.
Games are weird. Times are weird. Times are tough. Games are weird. I'll be continuing my quest through all of the Adam Sandler's garbage and or mermaid related films.
I'm excited.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything to play this week. That's it. This is maybe, and I don't mean to keep this dragged out, but that was like a discussion I was having with someone. What do you think it is? Like that feeling of when this game is coming and it feeling like you have nothing that can be played, even though you have hundreds of video games to play. There's that feeling of like, wow, there's nothing out right now, even though a lot of these haven't been finished or I haven't spent enough time with all of them. There's just that weird overarching feeling. Because somebody mentioned it like, oh, it's the fear of missing out. And I'm like, I don't really think that applies for a game that doesn't exist yet. No. Like, that's not the concern because it's not here. I think it's just this weird, like, it's this weird duality of like, I don't want to waste time on this thing because I know I'm going to spend all this time on this game, but I can't spend the time on this game yet because it doesn't exist yet. So what is this feeling and how do you break it?
I'll say this. The first announcement of Cyberpunk 2077 happened in 2012.
Yeah.
So people have been looking forward to this fucking game for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have been pining for it for quite a while.
So now that it's like around the corner, it's like consuming like all the thought. Like my problem with like having too many games is that like I never know where to focus my attention because I feel like I could always be playing something better. That's my problem. Like the other night I fired up Hyrule Warriors and I'm like, I like that game a lot. And I was like trying to get through it, and then I was like, wait, I should be playing this other game. So I started playing Valhalla instead, because I was like, well, I just got Valhalla. I should probably see that through.
Right.
And then as I'm playing Valhalla, I'm like, well, fuck, I really feel like playing RimWorld right now, so I'll flip over to RimWorld. And I do that a lot, man. I find myself doing it a lot more.
Well, you've seen my
days.
Steam account. You know I'm no better. That's why I'm just like, I'm trying to,
Yeah.
I would argue worse maybe. And that's my hang up is I'm just like, well, what the fuck? I really want to play this In Silence game, but we need a group for it.
Yes.
Because that game looks really rad. But yeah, like I want to play more grounded, but like I saw the pawn stuff. I guess I'll play Fallout 76 and get through the Steel Dawn
I'm willing
content.
to try. I still have it installed. I'm willing to fire that up. You want to fuck around with it?
Yeah, I honestly hope Godfall goes on sale tomorrow. That's like the one. I don't know why I want to play that game so
Me
bad.
neither. I don't know either. Something about it looks very appealing to me too.
Yeah, it's just something like, because that's actually the thing that's been drawing me in with Crew 2 is like you get loot in that game. So I'm like, after a race, they go, here's some green and purple parts for your car. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, one, I really like racing games, but two, I'm like, I get loot in this racing game. And then, and I see Godfall, and I'm just like, man, that's action right there. And I fired up Monster Hunter a little bit today, and that was fun. So I'll probably play a little bit more of that in anticipation for the Angelina Jolie or the Mila Jovovich. They're the same person. The Mila Jolie DLC thing that comes out for it. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that game is so alluring. Because and the other thing too is like every outlet I've seen is just like that game sucked, and I was like, did it though? Or maybe you just weren't the right person. Maybe you weren't the right father for it. Maybe you didn't care about it the way you're supposed to care about it. Because I've also seen seen a few people really high on it, but I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow. Even if it doesn't go on sale tomorrow might be the day the trigger gets pulled. Anywho,
see,
we'll leave you guys to it. Thank you for joining us. If you did, we'll be out next Friday with a new episode. And then hopefully by the next episode after that one, we'll all have been able to play Cyberpunk and the world will feel whole again. Happy Thanksgiving as well if you guys do that business. That was either today or yesterday, depending upon when you see this. Or weeks later. Who knows? I bet you ate some shit, though, didn't you? You fucking nerds.
Gluttons. You absolute gluttons.
You gluttons, yeah. Well, we're all gluttons here, either for punishment or games or food or whatever. We're all big fatties, right. So it's no big whoop. Yeah. Bye.